Let's play the end of the song one more time. That really is a great song, honestly. It's fantastic. All right. It sounds like a lot of hoopla. What? You spotted an EJ in the wild? Wait, where? It's not as good as the instant laughing ostrich.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Bruh. A wild DJ appeared? Do I need to sing the Pokemon music? Stop the presses, I have news. History of the World Part 2, variety series ordered at Hulu. Mel Brooks to write and executive produce. Oh, man. Ow, don't throw that at me. Hey, what's up? All 300,000 bounty hunters in the star system. How y'all doing? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Mario? Hello, it's me, Mario. Come on, Jeffrey, you can do it. You have something on your face. Thank you. You look like donut operator? Oh. Okay. My God. Mein Gott. They look glued on? Glued on? No, it doesn't. No. It looks good. That is EJ's back hair glued on his face. Fine. I was going to show you a picture of what I did to the truck yesterday, but now I don't want to. Now I don't want to. Oh, you don't want to see it? Well, good. You're seeing it. Look. Do you see? Do you see the difference? Did the truck break down again? No. No, I actually drove it to Rhode Island yesterday. I mean, Thomas, that's not that far, to be honest. That's really not that far away. But I found a salvage yard that had two trucks. With that mustache? No. I had the full beard yesterday. Nice Navy stash. This isn't the code for Navy. It's too big. Where'd you go in Rhode Island? Please hold, Jimbo. Right on the border, dude. It's not that far away. Not that far into Rhode Island. I was near Woonsocket. Yeah, Woonsocket, Rhode Island is where I drove to. Yeah, it's not to spec. It can't be. I could go do Navy if we want to. We could do that. It can't be wider than your mouth. Is it time to bring on the Stalinade? No, mustache isn't good enough. Yeah, I was just down in Woonsocket, Jim. Not too incredibly far away. Just a quick blast down 495. I found an auto shop. I found a Wreckers, and it had an F-250 in it. It was a really nice F-250. Too bad somebody let it go. Like, But I'm pretty sure it was a plow truck. There's a picture of it. The picture doesn't do it justice, huh? It's nice, dude. It's basically my truck, but with all the trim options. But it's way far gone. But the headlight bezels were good. I was basically doing a recon mission yesterday. I was doing a recon mission to see what's going on with that truck. That truck has 4-wheel drive in it. We could rip the 4-wheel drive system out if we really wanted to. Hey, did you see the thing? Yes, I haven't. And yeah, it's on me. Yep. Woonsocket, and you pronounced it correctly, is right on the border. And that's where you can get poutine. Jim, you want to... Let's go for poutine there sometime then, man. You would get a discount at all the wrecking yards with that stash. Dude, I handed them the headlight bezels, and they were like, what? This is what you want? I'm like, yeah. Why is that weird? And they're like... The guy was like, all right. Hey, how much for these headlight bezels? And the guy was like... Guy walked over and went... I'm like, why is this weird? Why is this weird? I don't understand. It's a pick and pull. Why are you looking at me like that? Anyway, how about them Red Sox? We only sell things on eBay. Keep yours 2-wheel drive unless you'll actually use it. I kind of just, you know what I want, 251? I just want to, I really would just want to make it an XLT. Like an F-250 XLT. Like a, you know, I thought that would be cool. They're like, just get all the top trim, and I'm working on it. I got a good deal of it, like already. Like we've already upgraded most of it, but you know, I don't like the XLT bumpers. I think the XLT bumpers look stupid. But that's just me. Anyway, lockable diffs or not? The one that was in the junkyard had lockers on it, manual lockers. And then it had the same rear end that I have in mine, a Sterling 1025, but it was a little far gone. That's the real problem with pulling stuff around here, dude. It's all so far gone, dude. This one didn't have the right badges on it, John. So what's on the SSDO checklist? It's not so much a checklist that we need to do. It's scrubbed. I scrubbed out on the last mission. We're going to try to figure out. We're going to try to fix it. Hopefully we can fix that and actually...
Discovery.
We should pivot right here to KSP. Let me get the Yoi stick out. I think it's a soft J. It's a soft J there. There we go. Gary, what's up, man? 40-month resub. But yeah, it was fun, man. There might be other junkyards around, but yeah, all the trucks that are in the junkyards around here are because they rusted out. All the trucks that are in the junkyards in California are because they got into an accident. So there's still a lot of good parts on those things, but it's all right. What's a limited slip? Does it actually slip? No, it limits slip. It's right in the name, Flykin. You dope. It says it right in the name. Flykin, sounds like you need the... Wow, mean. Mean? Here. Maybe. I don't know. So Flykin, what a limited slip differential does is it limits slip between the wheels. Here, I got a video for you. the spokes. Here. Around the corner. Here we go. Here. There's also this. I'm not sure what that means, but I have to read it. Exactly, Flecken. Here. Here, you can watch this video. It's a great video. That's very strange, yes. You're gonna need more spokes.
The other wheel won't budge. Let's put this bar on a pivot so that it can swing in either direction. Now, the bar can still turn both wheels at the same speed. And because it pivots, it lets one wheel turn even when the other is stopped. But if turned too far, the bar will swing around until it won't drive the spokes that turn either wheel.
We're gonna need more spokes.
We need another crossbar and more spokes to carry on the job. When we stop one wheel, the crossbars will continue to push the spokes of the free wheel around, as long as both wheels are free to turn.
So flagging a limited slip differential limits the differential RPM between the wheels. That's all. It just makes it so the RPM of this wheel and the RPM of that wheel doesn't change very much. You can get better traction and you do better donuts with it.
The bars do not swing on their pivot.
Fractal.
And the wheels move at the same speed. And changing the shape gives firm, constant contact. Now,
except if welds get caught between the spider gears. Yeah, then it doesn't.
We can make the gears thicker and stronger. And we have differential gears. The edges are cut so that they will fit together more smoothly and silently. And another gear is added to share the work of driving the axles.
Spider gears, there they are.
The principle is the same. In order to turn the support and drive the wheels, we can fasten a large gear here.
Ring gear.
Connected by a smaller gear to a source of power.
Is the differential considered open or closed when no differential RPM is allowed? That's a closed. Closed means, yeah, no differential RPM. So a welded diff is technically closed. Except if it breaks. And then it becomes open again. Ask me how I know. The wheels need more spokes. Yeah. All right. Let's load up some KSP. Here we go. Now that I have my coffee, I'm ready to play Kerbal. So we got about 2 hours until a NASA press conference here about Starliner. What's up, G? How you doing? So what happened for it to be scrubbed last night? GSE caused the problem. I saw it, Phil. Happening level, it's... Cool whip. Cool whip. Guys, cool whip. Wheels. Whip. Cool whip. Cool. Whip. Cool whip. We're gonna be here for a while. I honestly can't look at you with the cap flipped up, despite people who wear hats like that, lol. Love you, have a good day. Hey EJ, I don't like that hat. Could you change it? Oh, sure, chat. No problem. Hit the guitar. Yeah, Phil, I have. The dramatic guitar sound, dude. I threw it at the guitar. Here. How about we get Falcon Heavy? Alright. So, where we're at is this thing wouldn't lock. Wait, it read 0 for a second. I just need to hit this thing and get it ready to lock, and we should be good. That's the only problem here. So, Mechazilla's most likely going airborne soon. Oh, that's cool. I'm rushing in, but Francis, Venture Orbital System is live now inside their factory at a public update on the Zephyr and the Navier engine. Link follows. Oh, okay. Come on, it read 0 for a second. It's so close. That was me.
Go and throttle up.
You know what the funny thing is? I really like it when I have all my Windows notification noises muted and it still plays that. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Keep up the bad work. Fifth, gifted a sub to Sirius. Thanks, man. She doesn't want to lock out, dudes.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, Gold. Hey, Moist, what's going on? The heck you guys feeding the socks? Dude, I don't know what's going on over there. Something's going on in there that it's above my purview, man. I have no idea. Hey, Snake, what's going on, Chief? How you doing? I don't know what's up with this thing, man. I never did this before, but I'm kind of hoping that I can solve this problem, like, right now. You took our Schwarber! Hey, wait a minute. If we... Oh, what? Hey! Damn it! I was gonna say it's gonna show him in a Red Sox jersey, but it doesn't. That's good. I don't understand. I don't understand. What do you want? May the Schwarb be with you. Yes. You guys. Is it time to recover the pad and the SSDO? On the contrary, Pilch. I'm about to just send it because I'm getting really sick of this thing. Rupert Troopers! I'm really getting annoyed with this. Without the hinge lock. No, I'm gonna send it with clown shoes on the landing gear. Yeah, of course without the hinge lock. Where's it from? This is SpaceX FM. It's test shot, yep. We can't send this without it. I can't do that. The auto struts will mess up. We gotta take it down. Hey, Calty, what's going on? It has to be locked, yes. Is it really a must? Would I be obsessing over it if it wasn't? Fuel truck counterbalance to lock it. Oh, yes. Introduce more deviance into the engineering. Nah, Chief, I don't want to do that. I have to get it to work, man. Hang on. I'm going to see if I can push on the pad just a little bit. Hey, Hammer Nails. The hierarchy goes through that hinge, Rocket Guy. That's the master branch. You have to lock that out. Locking these out isn't going to do anything. It'll just bend them. This is the one that has the auto struts go through it if it locks out. That's why it's so critical. About to just recover the whole damn thing. So, Rocket, what's going on here is... Look. Our heading alignment is 89.3, meaning that the SSTO... Here, let me put it this way so my hand matches it. Is doing this. It's doing this, and it's putting a shear load on that hinge. So the hinge that should be like this is bending up like that. That's what's causing it. There's a shear load involved here because of how the pad is put together. Well, won't it help get rid of any servo slack? No, you're not going through the main hierarchy branch. No, it won't. It'll just bend them. No, it won't do that. It'll bend still. I can't fuel, dude. We can't fuel this thing. I can't fuel it. If I do, I'm putting 1,300 tons of fuel on that. On a same vessel collision between a fairing plate and a fairing. You need the auto struts to hold it. They're basically my latching mechanism. You have to lock out the hinge or else it won't go. Hey, J-Speed. What's going on? That's awesome, Lunfrod. Can you bend the rules to modify the craft file? What am I modifying? I don't understand. Dead Groot! No, I haven't done that yet, Rocket Guy. You know what? We'll let's do this though. Let's get the TE back up there. See if I can dock the TE to it and pull it into position. Why would Eric post this, Thomas? Holy shnikes. I'm picturing this. Oh, mama. Hey, Snow, what's going on? There we go. Or we could do the side by side. Because NASA mentioned re-entry testing in March with Starship. That's going off of an NTRS document about NASA going to image a Starship re-entry in March of 2022. The document doesn't specify if it's the first or second flight, but due to the current status of everything, it is expected that March will be the first launch. I'm using the Force. Serious. I disagree with that. I don't think that's right. I think that's the SN-21 launch, if you really want my honest opinion. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Listen, I'm not going to be able to make March. See what you can do. All right. Give me like 10 minutes and I'll have a quick sum up of Venture's pitch stuff. Merci. They are, in fact, lifting that thing. Look. Luft! Luft! Schnell! Weiter! Weiter! Luft! Luft! Hey, SKS, how you doing? Top of the morning to ya. Hey, guy. Guy just casually walked down those stairs. Whatever. Did you see this epic Elon tweet? Said NTRS thing. Got it? What is this tweet? Call of Duty's target audience is teenagers. The actual audience is children. Pokemon. The target audience is kids. The actual audience is teenagers. Oh, he's gonna get flack for that. He is going to... My guy's gonna get flack for that. That's gonna piss people off, man. Oh, jeez. Gonna get flack for that. Vulcan, what's up, man? Why don't you tell me you made another Twitter account? Why don't you tell me? What the crap? How come nobody called me? Look at this mustache. You think this mustache... You gonna leave it in the dark? You think it would like being left in the dark like that? No. 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 Hey, Vulcan Rider, what's up? How you doing? Where is the freaking music? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Sneaky. Alright, let's reattach the fastening pin and see what happens. this good enough music, guys? The fact that the song does not trouble me. The fact that you know it does. What's wrong with Trololol? Edward Kill is a legend. Legend. No, it's not comedy crap. See, the good thing about it, John, is that you can't get DMCA'd for it. You know why you can't get DMCA for it? Because it's our music. Our music. Okay? It's our music. Can't get DMCA'd for that. You can't DMCA our music, Red. You can't DMCA that. It's not your music. It's not his music. It's not her music. It's not their music. It's our music. Okay? 5D chess, bro. So stupid. All right, let's see if we can pull this sucker back into shape here.
Discovery.
Hey, Wendy. Time to unveil myself as an obnoxious Cowboys fan. I am a bit disappointed. And if it's one thing I do not like to be, it is to be disappointed. It was a good game. We should have won. It was a good game. I don't care. It's October. It's baseball season. Doesn't matter. Sorry, sir. It will never happen again. I know. It's more of a joke, Vulcan. You can get DMCA'd because... You can DMCA somebody because you don't like them. Because, you know... I hate how your line of thinking makes too much sense. I've been doing this a long time, Thomas. Those two guys that tried to DMCA Napster, unmarked graves out past Terra Lingua. Thanks for the bits, Vin. Unmarked graves out past Terra Lingua. That's how conspiracy works. The moment you think you got it figured, you're wrong. There are two Vulcans now. That hurts. It's not your name anymore, Vulcan. It's our name. Could be worse. Could be a Giants fan. Now I'll go cry in the corner. I've stopped making fun of the Jets and the Giants because it's not funny. Like, I never thought that would get to that point. It's not funny. Oh, dang it, Bobby. Don't DMCA the propane again. It's just not funny anymore. Gratuitous. Hey, Laserman. Thanks for the subs. Wendy, the football game though, it was a good game. It was fun to watch. I'll admit I enjoyed it. I don't like losing. That part was not fun. It's gonna take some time to get accustomed to that because we didn't do that for a long time. It's just gonna I'm gonna have to take some time to adjust. For the Red Sox, though, somebody pissed in their cornflakes, huh? What happened? I don't understand. You know it's bad when nobody's laughing at the failure. Char, I don't... Dude, like, what am I supposed to do? Make fun of somebody that goes like 0-16? That's messed up. was a great game. Really could have gone either way. It was fun. It was a fun game to watch. A lot of mistakes, though, on both sides. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a knock on the Cowboys or anything. They won. You guys played great. Seriously. We made a lot of mistakes, and you guys did too. But you know what? That's what happens when you're in a high-profile football game like that. The easy stuff is the fundamentals are the first thing that go out the door. This is what, like, Mike McCarthy was talking about it in the press interview. Belichick talked about it in the press interviews. It's like, look, when you're in a game of attrition like that, you have to gotta play 60 minutes of good football. Just gotta make sure that, making the plays, you just gotta make more plays than the other team. 1-15, thank you very much. Yeah. Excuse me. Could you check your DMs when you get a chance? I meant to ask you this the other day. I will check it right now. Just for you, man. Yeah, go ahead, man. That's fine. Unfortunate. Yeah, that sucks. Alright. Okay. Alex, alright, so Venture Orbital Systems made the live stream to announce their acquisition of their new offices, a 2,000 square meter factory in Reims, France, to both design and manufacture their vehicles. The first micro-launcher facility in France. Not only that, we got some neat details on their test program, a pressure-fed prototype to fly in 2023 before the pump-equipped vehicle in 2024. And engine tech. Motor pumps instead of turbo pumps on the first Navier engines. Short but interesting. Stop calling football soccer. What? Who's talking about soccer? What? Alright. If I can get this electrical charge down to 0. The Cowboys are great at shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, yeah, when they made... Look, you guys made errors. We made more errors. So, like, I'm not trying to, diminish the victory like some jerk. I'm still learning how to do this whole losing style thing. It's been a while, believe it or not. Like, yeah, I know. You just sound like a douche Patriots fan again. Yeah, I get it. The Patriots haven't sucked this bad in 20 years, dude. I don't know how to lose gracefully. I seriously forgot how to do it. I forgot how to do it. Like, what do you want? Like, they were freaking disgusting for so long, man. Yeah, guys, see Vulcan. One of the launch photographers that we show her pictures on the stream sometimes. She got into a head-on trying to go to the Lucy launch. Vulcan, did we get the guy who did that? Like, a lot of New England fans are saying that. Hey, it's gonna take me some time to relearn how to do this. But I'll be honest, like, dude, I don't care if the Patriots are trash. They're okay right now. They make a lot of mistakes, but they got a lot of young players. It's fine. I just want to watch football. Like, I'll be honest at this point. Like, just want to watch football. I just want to watch a good hand-egg game. Took me a while. It's still uncanny valley for me, bro, Handy. The driver who caused it was dead on sight. Okay, I guess they got the guy. Vulcan, do we know, like, I don't mean to pry. It's just curious minds, and, I hope Jenny recovers. That's terrible. What happened? Like, I don't understand. Like, I understand the head-on, like, how did this happen? Oh, Element, Jenny got into a terrible, terrible accident. Like, it's not good from what I understand. I mean, the other guy, so if the other guy is paced and Jenny's in the hospital, you know, I've been trying to keep her in my thoughts. I just haven't said any. I haven't streamed since it happened. Like, how does the other car drifted into her lane and hit head on? Oh my god. I know the exact road where this happened. Let me guess. I know the exact road where this happened. The road with no median on 528, huh? Yeah. Yeah. There is a 407 near 528. That sucker right there. That's a long stretch of road with no median. It's just two-lane, two-way. Is that the guy? I forget. I haven't been down there in freaking forever, Matt. Should change that. I have wheels to get down there now. Yeah, I know the exact road. It's this road. This road is dangerous. And you know I'm like Mr. Lax on safety, right? Now, people go flying down this road because it's very, very straight. And there's no median. Yeah. Great. Lovely. Pardon the ignorance. Who is Jenny? That's Jenny Houtman. Jenny Houtman, she takes pictures. She's a launch photographer, and we show her pictures on here sometimes. She runs in circles with people that we share a lot of pictures of their launches. She's a good person, pretty good person. Pretty good to say the least. Yeah, she was. Somebody decided to BeamNG her car, to put it lightly. Not okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's in the hospital. She's trying to recover. So, Vulcan, if you want to post that link again to help with her recovery, we'll see what we can do. I'll see if I can pop in a little something, okay? I'm kind of short on funds. I dumped it all into a junk pickup truck. I'll see what I can do, though, man. You got a Route 154 hat. Should be here this week. Can't wait. Also, resub. Oh, thanks, man. Here. Let me, yeah. I've never met Jenny, but she's hanging around with Vulcan and Matt. She must be a good person. Just saying. I mean, you know, you're a product of your environment. She's hanging out with people like Matt and Vulcan. I'm pretty damn sure she's a good person. I could put my finger on that pretty well. I met her at Crew too. She was great to hang with. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks that happens. But hey, the other guy ain't around no more. So let's make sure Jenny pulls through. You know. Thank you so much, Evie. Even just sharing this is so much help, dude. I got you. It's no problem. Look, I look out for my space crew. All right. We're too big to be at each other's throats with bull crap. You know how I feel about that. I've made that pretty damn clear many times. I look out for people that like space. I'll give them the shirt off my back if they need it. Dude, it's the space crew. Gotta look out for each other, man. We gotta get that word out. That's important. That's super important. But yeah. We'll see if we can shoot a couple dollars her way. No, that's just, man, hurts. Hey, Blue Flare, 20-month resub. Oh, okay, that was the 154 thing. Yep. She'll be alright. She'll pull through. I can feel it. I can feel it like it's right in my neck. Here, Blue Flare, because you said something, I'm gonna link this up here. And Vulcan, just because you're at the top of my DMs, I'm gonna send you the picture too, so you can see, so I can get it up on Discord. Check that out. Isn't that sweet? Vulcan, you're the first one seeing that picture. Speaking of spending money on junk vehicles. I think you missed a couple of gift subs. Yeah, Laserman, you did gift out 2 subs. We were talking about the thingamajigger, but yeah, thank you very much. Wink, wink, and Fearless Jake. Thanks, Laser. I appreciate it, man. Here you go. Dude, look. Look. Your boy's running all chrome here. Look at the junkyard, I got some chrome bezels and the license plate mount. Yeah, it's my plate. That doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. You want to come steal the truck? Go ahead. No, please don't. I got the license plate bracket mount. We have an all XLT front fascia now. It's all chrome, man. Look at the chrome. Taste the chrome. Yeah, $20, dude. $20 for the license plate mount and all that. There you go, Vulcan. That's cool. Yeah, we got the chromes. Those things are a pain in the butt to change, dude. Those bezels. I don't know why Ford made that way. I'll be honest with you. That was not... Let me put it to you like this, okay? I've been getting pretty acquainted with that truck and how it goes together. I'm pretty damn sure, just on a side note, I'm pretty damn sure, and you know, this is pretty odd. It's pretty damn obvious, right? Like, this isn't like some crazy revelation. But if you look at like a 1980, Ford, this is from 1980. That's a 1980 F-150, right? And then you look at a 1997 F-150, 99999, or a 1996 F-150. I'm pretty damn sure that all they did is just change the grill up a little bit. And all there is to adapt to this different type of grill is just a plastic adapter. I'm pretty sure that they just kept making this. Keep making the same thing. Because look, the bed is exactly the same. It's literally the same. Why fix what isn't broken? I agree with this. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There's a element, there's the core support back there, right? So the core support looks like a core support from the 59, to be honest with you. It looks very similar, right? And then in front of that, on my truck, there's a plastic bracket that mounts the grill pieces. I'm pretty sure Ford was just like, we need to make a new grill. All right, just put a spacer bracket there. Like, underneath the guts of like the truck, underneath all the plastic stuff is still this. This is still there. They just made adapters for it. It's like the ISS up in here. Yeah, they changed the grill up a little bit and the hood, and that's about it. The cab and the pickup bed are exactly the same. Pretty much interchangeable, which is kind of cool. That means I could go get a 1980. We could get like an 81 or an 80 front grill, and we could probably put it on here. I bet you it'll bolt. I bet you it bolts up. How cool would that actually be? That'd be something else. Anyway, let's get back into KSP. We have the, there's a picture of the truck over there. We have the double box there, and they're starting to lift Mechazilla up here on the far right. That's what we're working on here. So I'm trying to pull this back to get this thing aligned. Let's see, what's this thing saying here? Yeah, no, that truck is, dude, the OBS, the old body style is great. It's a really nice truck, man. The 90s ones have plastic on them, and the plastic is annoying, but underneath the plastic is still all the metal, like the real old school metal. It's there. I'm telling you, I had that thing apart. I had the whole front grill apart yesterday, and I apologize for not streaming this. I ran out of sunlight, guys. The whole front of that like the 1980s and 1970s parts are still there. You could still see them. All right. Well, this thing doesn't want to do it, so we're going to have to deverticate. That's a word, industry term. I'm going to bring the thing down, and then we're going to bring it back up again. Let's just make sure that we're docked here. The big SSTO is, the pad's giving me a little bit of problems here. It's like it's the GSE that's annoying right now. Okay. Let's lock that piston out. We'll try one more time to see if we can get this hinge locked out without pressing anything, but it doesn't want to. Ford getting the money back on the initial investment of the tooling. At that, and it's a good truck, Hammer Nails. Oh, there is one more thing. Here, while we're bringing this thing down, I'll show you. Dude, so Roadkill, the show Roadkill did a... I'll give the command to move that thing down in a moment. Roadkill did a, what is it, the duct tape drags in Tucson, a Tucson dragway, and check this out. Look, real quick. I want to show you, it's right at the beginning. So, that's a cool truck right there, first of all. Alright, well now watch this. Did you see that? That guy stole my idea. Seriously, that's my truck. That's a 92. I have a 97, but it's the same thing. Just with a different grill, right? But that's a turbo. That's a turbo 5.8. That's not a diesel. That's the turbo 5.8. Sorry, Sneaky. You hear the whistle? It's a turbo 5.8.
Discovery, go at
That's what I want to do with mine. Dang it. And he has the bedpan for it, or the bed cap for it and everything. Ugh. It's not the diesel, Hammer Nails, and the IDI doesn't sound like that. Here, listen to it. Listen to it without the picture. No way. There's no way that, dude. If that's a diesel, that sounds amazing. Yeah, you hear that turbo spooling? That's what I want to do. I want my truck to be able to do that. That big 3/4 ton truck just spinning around. All right, let's give the command to pull this thing down. We need the turbo. It must have the turbo. It must be green, okay? All right, let's go. So, just put a box fan in the intake. I'm going to give it one last shot to see if it wants to lock. Nope. Alright. We're giving the commands to bring it back down here. Let's see what it does. How's the lift going? They have some guys inspecting the rigging up there. Yeah, Hellfish. That would be cool. We got to get all the smog stuff off of that motor. I'm kind of curious to see what it does without the air pump and everything. I mean, the thing already has a pretty dang linear torque curve. I'll be honest with you. It's not very steep. The reason why it's not steep is because towing, the way it's geared and stuff. But damn, dude. We got a commentary stream too with Das on the chopsticks. Oh. Cool. All right. Let's stop the controllers for a second. And I'm going to do what Rocket Guy suggested. I'm going to reseat the payload. So let me reverse the directions on the controllers. And we'll see if reseating it fixes it. Hey man, been a while since I caught a KSP stream. How's Big Chungus doing? The SSDO is fine. I'm pretty sure we fixed all the problems with it. I'm having some problems getting it to seat correctly on the pad for fueling. The air pump is only for adding fresh air to the cats. I don't have those. I don't have cats. They were disposed of. Yeah, they were disposed of. I lost my cats in a boating accident. Yes, exactly. They were lost in a tragic boating accident. Shame. Great minds, I suppose, gentlemen. So a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. Hey, Wisp. Did Brimo okay the thing on your face? Oh, no. No, not at all. Sweet Falcon Heavy hat? Thank you. I got it the day Falcon Heavy launched for the first time. It's been in my family for a number of years now. I'm going to pass it on to my kids. What? All right. The Reno Air Races expansion for Microsoft Flight Simulator is dropping on the 18th. There will be two packages. One will be $19.99 and the other is $59.99. The difference between the two is that the more expensive one will have the official race liveries, the plane list, L39, nice, P51, T6, Texan, hell yeah, and a Pitts S1. You know what, Thomas? I'll be 100% real with you. Flight Sim, I don't mind their DLCs. That's fine. If each one of those DLCs includes a super high fidelity plane, that's fine, because those things take a while to get right, you know? I think Flight Simulator did it correctly. You don't need the other planes to really enjoy the game, but it definitely helps. I have, well, Hellfish, I have long tubes for it. I have long tubes for the truck. Trailer showing the planes and liveries. Okay. Well, Thomas, Link that again during Space
Discovery,
News.
go at throttle up.
Hey, Secret. 9-month resub. Does the P-51 have working guns? I doubt it because it's the air racing variant. I really hope we get Voodoo. You know how people hot rod cars? Like we're talking about hot rodding the car? Voodoo is a hot rodded P-51. Check this out. It's a P-51 with... It has turbos on it. No, it's supercharged. They took a Merlin engine. Hellfish, you'll actually appreciate this. They took a Merlin engine, and I don't think this has a Holly Sniper on it, but it has modern engine management controls on a Merlin engine. And then they have the nose cone and pitch and prop assembly from an A1 Sky Raider. Voodoo is a Resto Mod P-51, and it's awesome. The thing goes so fast. Oh, look at that thing. Oh, it's so cool. Microsoft Flight Simulator never released high-fidelity planes. Third party does. Microsoft makes it playable for people with low knowledge of how a plane works. Good enough? I mean, considering we have the entire world, Mr. Failures, that's fine. This thing with modern engine tuning, the Merlin engine with modern engine tuning gives this, I mean, this thing can basically skirt transonic. Yeah. This thing can basically skirt transonic, which is absurd for a propeller plane. In a dive, it'll break the sound barrier easily. But I wouldn't do that unless you want the wings flying off. Nice. That's a great picture. All right. All right, so here's the thing. We tilted it off and tilted it back, and it's showing around the same power consumption here. So what we got to do is bring the thing down, which does suck, but set that to reverse. All right, let's bring the thing horizontal, and then we'll try to push it back up again. Yeah, Vega, pretty much. You can break the sound barrier in anything once. Now, whether your plane comes out fine on the other side... It looks like they're inspecting the rigging on the lift here. So whenever you lift something up with a crane, the first thing you want to do is tension the cables. And then once you tension the cables, that you want to inspect, like lift it up just a little bit, and then you want to inspect the rigging to make sure that the rigging is good. Make sure that the cables aren't like gonna fail or anything. And then you'll go again. It looks like they're inspecting the cables here. It looks like one of the cables may have snapped at 11:29. I mean, it is a weird shape to lift, Lenprod, so yeah, you know, it's better that you find it right now when it's sitting right over its hanger, right? Than when you're lifting it like 100 feet up in the air and then the cable snaps. That would suck. Speaking of moving heavy objects around... Put the leveling gear in place. See, let me explain. Hey, hater. 24 months. Whoop, whoop. Let me explain why this is a problem. If I can't lock this thing out, all right, if we can't lock that hinge, that basically is my hold down points. So this thing is basically sitting on the entire launch stand with just a docking port and a fairing plate. Okay? When I lock that out, because remember when I taught you guys the hierarchies last week? When I lock that out, that means auto struts can strut to parts on the plane from the pad. So if I have all these landing gear, right, are designed to strut to heaviest part. So if I move this into the vertical position and I'm able to lock that out, all the landing gears will strut to the fuel tanks that are full and basically hold the SSTO in place and keep it held in place until it's fully fueled, right? That's really, really freaking important because this thing is designed to handle a lot of load, but the auto struts can also help it handle the load. And when I say handle the load, I mean this thing, when it's fully fueled, is 1,300 tons of SSTO fuel and payload. 1,300 tons. This thing needs to be strong, and that's why I made it all out of panels and girder segments. But the auto struts on top of that are a way to make sure that the thing doesn't slide around on the pad when we go to lift it off. You should turn the hierarchy thing into a YouTube video. Yeah, we should. It's not a bad idea, Bree. Mary got notice for testing tonight. Static fire expected. Got it. Serious, give you mod and I can be better in... I could be drummer, but better in every way. Alright, you tell me. What would be a better RTMP source for the Route 154 streams? A Gallo 24 server or a Gallo 12 server? Hello, Zen. It's a me, Mario. The higher number is better. I didn't know movie places. I didn't know movie references made motors in RTMP sources. It would be a better motor for my Skyline. Gallo 12 or a Gallo 24. 24. I didn't know piece of places made motors. Grilani is right. The better supplier would be the Gallo Way. Thomas spitting straight facts right there. All right. Okay, are we nice and level for the most part? How do you think China just tested a big solid rocket yesterday? Okay. All right. Couple of things here. Fifi Fly, hypersonic missiles aren't anything new. Seriously, they're not anything new. ICBMs are hypersonic missiles, essentially. Look, a hypersonic missile and an ICBM are still, they're equally as difficult to shoot down. Like, straight up. They're equally as difficult to shoot down. It doesn't matter. If you have an ICBM coming at you, you have a hypersonic ICBM coming at you, it really doesn't matter. Both of those things you're not gonna be able to defend against. So, like, honestly, I wouldn't really be too upset about it. Like, oh god, China has the hypersonic. Like, everyone is like, oh my god, we didn't know about this. Guys, look, I've known that everyone's testing hypersonics. I've known that for years. It's not any secret. Yeah, and also implying we don't have those. Look, everyone wants a hypersonic missile. It's a hypersonic cruise missile. That's the difference. The ICBM goes up, and it's ballistic, right? Like what Hellfish is saying. It goes up, and then you let the payload go, and then wherever the payload falls, that's where you get the fiery stuff, right? A hypersonic cruise missile can maneuver and stuff, so theoretically it's better, because on top of not being able to hit it, like we're talking about a cruise missile that can travel at like 10,000 miles an hour, and it can maneuver at 10,000 miles an hour, kind of like the space shuttle, right? The space shuttle can maneuver at high speed like that, right? It can do that. I mean, they're equal first strike capability, to be honest with you. If you want this armchair general's kind of thing on it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be like, oh crap, they have that too. It's just, I mean, it doesn't change the game too much, to be honest with you. Brand new road closure for tonight is dropped per Boca Chica. Got it. That whole, oh my god, the news seems to imply that they have it and we don't, which is hilarious to me. Like, that's really funny. Implying we haven't been working on hypersonics since the 90s. So, one, it's not anything that we weren't doing. Two, look, it doesn't really matter if it's an ICBM or a hypersonic missile. They'll both achieve their objective. Like, I wouldn't be too like, oh, everyone's like, oh my god, they've never done that before, blah, 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 blah. I mean, okay. I mean, for the reals, that's a good point. You can't see it over the horizon since it cruises it cruises at a lower altitude. I mean, if you have a particle beam satellite up in space, that might be able to zap it before it gets anywhere near. Just putting it out there. You ever notice that every time somebody tries to go and test an ICBM, it always fails? Anyone? North Korea tested another ICBM, and it turned out that the rocket exploded on the way up into orbit, or it's tumbling in orbit. That really gets the noggin jogging, huh? Pretty sure Iran tried to launch something a little while ago, and it blew up right on the pad. Look, fellas, there's only so many times that you can launch a rocket and get it wrong before something works correctly. Ask the U.S., ask the Germans during World War II, Soviets right after World War II, us after World War II. There's only so many ways you could get it wrong before you finally get something right somewhere. You know what I mean? So, I mean, do the math. I feel like having a particle beam stat pointed down is a bad idea. It's the short-range hypersonics that are the new thing. Can't be stopped. Can't be stopped as short-range missile. It's a replacement of the cruise missile. Not as a replacement or much of an advance on an ICBM. That's what I'm saying. People are just generating hype. It's not. It doesn't really change the defensive or offensive doctrine for, like, global thermonuclear war too much. I wouldn't be too worried. Something like that, Havocs. I didn't fail. I found 100 ways to not make a light bulb. Hammer Nails, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but bro. All right. Let's put this thing back up again. Let's see what it does. Yeah, low altitude hypersonics, man. It's gonna be tough it's gonna be tough to have cross range capability with something like that. What changes it is now your carrier can be sunk with a cruise hypersonic missile you can't stop. I mean, Coffin, I mean, implying that an ICBM wouldn't be able to take out a carrier task group. Like, it's that whole chicken and the... Well, not chicken and the egg thing. Everybody talks about that war game, you know. Everybody talks about that war game that we played with Sweden where Sweden sunk a carrier with one of their submarines. But they failed to mention the fact that they may have sunk a carrier, but they have no country left. Yeah, they failed to mention that fact. It's... Something's a little bit out of whack with it, Hillness. I'm doing some troubleshooting right now. And welcome back. Nice stash. Thanks, brother. But we still sunk it. Yeah, you sunk it, but your country as a whole ceases to exist. Sweden is a big crater in the water. It's like, oh, great, you sunk the carrier. Fantastic, bro. Good job. You have no country. All I know is nobody wins in a nuclear war. Yep. The only winning move is not to play. As a Dane, I approve of this outcome. You got it. Yeah, Jonas, you're going to be getting a lot more waterfront property. Ah, behold, the grass plains of Sweden. Yeah, everybody fails to mention that part. I'm really confused. Great, you sunk a carrier. That one submarine that sank that carrier is all that is left of the Swedish people. I mean, the point of saying Sweden did a thing isn't to say that Sweden would do anything in an actual war, but there is a weakness in the theoretical exercise. Okay. I mean, all right. You're not going to have no casualties in any type of war. But if the other guy doesn't have his country anymore, then I'm pretty sure you won. Anyway. Does Canada know? Oh, well, some small Dutch diesel electric subs sank a U.S. carrier, but you guys are... All right. You guys are failing to see the point. I mean, I understand there's weaknesses in a carrier. Whenever you have a mobile fortress around, someone's going to make a trebuchet that can get to it. I understand that, and I get it. But also... Yeah, great, you sank a carrier. So you sank 1 of 12. Okay? Or 1 of 10 at this point. You sank 1 of 10. You have no country left. That's like losing a soccer match 7-1 and saying you did a good job. All right. Have fun with that. Hey, Valeria, what's up? Cool SSDO. How much it weigh how much does it weigh? Can it make it into orbit? Do you want it weighed with you want mass with a full tank of gas or without a full tank of gas? Empty, Valerio, 300 tons. So 300,000 kilograms. Fully fueled, 1.3 million kilograms, or about 1,300 tons. Yes, it can make it into orbit. It can move safely about 20,000 kilos into space, easily. Yeah, Prey, that's what I mean. Prey, the carriers have escorts, okay? They have certain escorts that you can't see. Don't make them mad. Yeah. You actually think the U.S. will risk a war over a nuclear carrier? I've never said how many there were, Havocs. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't recall. I don't recall anything. I don't know what you mean. All right. So, we're back up at 89.7 here. Let's see if we can lock this hinge out. No, same exact kind of torque numbers there. Anyway, let's get back to talking about cranes and stuff that doesn't hurt people. I don't like that stuff. I don't like the whole hurting people stuff. That's not cool. I gotta get that number right there to 0, but it doesn't want to do it. So when is the big ship flying again? I'm having a little bit of trouble with the pad hand. The GSE is not cooperating. In order to fuel the thing correctly and not have some weird stuff going on during fueling, I need that electrical charge number to hit 0 so I can lock this hinge out. Then we're a go for fueling and good to launch, but it doesn't seem like it doesn't want to do it. Now, I know the reason why. The reason why is if you look at that SSTO, what does it look like? It looks like it's kind of bent this way a little bit, like it's that way. And what that's doing is that's causing shear on this hinge right here. See how this hinge wants to go up? See how it's kind of moving up? Basically, when the SSTO goes like this, right? The hinge wants to be in a 90 position like this. And it moving out like this is bending that hinge up. It's bending it this way. So that means we didn't level the craft file correctly, meaning that these need to be moved down a little bit. Yeah, Prey, that's what I'm trying to... That was the whole point of that thing, dude. I'm trying to tell people that it's not that big of a deal. It sucks. I mean, it sucks that they... Well, I don't know. You could say that it sucks that they have that capability, but I don't know. I mean... It sucks, but what are you going to do? Tell them not? Tell them not to have it? Back from vacation, what you working on? Getting the big one ready to go, Oba, but she doesn't want to go. How about you, man? How was vacation? Might be a pain, but could you lock the batteries on... Yeah. But cutting power to this could screw up the rest of these things, too. It could also lock out all of these. And we'd have to manually unlock everything. I'd prefer to just get this right, but, yeah, guys, it looks like we're going to have to... Here, let's see. Can we lock the strong back out? I don't understand why we can lock the strong back out when it's pulling an electrical charge, see? See, like... Like, that one can lock out, no problem. I mean, it did hit 0 for a second, but here, let's try to time warp one more time. This one just doesn't want to do it. It just doesn't want to go. Vacation was good, man. Much needed. Right on. This thing should work, Oba. Everything has been tested end to end by chat with my upgrades and fix. I'm getting ready to get the first mission ready to go for it again because we had enough money with the small SSTO before we generated enough cash with the small SSTO before Route 154. I'm trying to just get this thing operational, and it's literally the entire thing is pivoting on this. If I can just get that locked out, then we're good for fueling, but it doesn't want to do it. I really need to give this game another go. I think I only ever made it to orbit and back safely. Never figured out how to orbit and land on another planet in the moon. I was saying it's not hard. If you can get up and down in... If you can go up and down from Kerbin, you've got it figured out, man. Like, what folks don't understand is that in KSP, like, look, okay, you get into orbit, you come back down and land. All right? On the moon, it's literally the same thing minus the atmosphere, so you need to slow down the entire way getting down to the surface. No problem. All right? If you're going from the moon to Minmus, it's the same idea as going from Kerbin to Duna. Only, the only thing that really changes, the orbital maneuvers are pretty much exactly the same. The only thing that really changes is the amount of delta V that you need. Other than that, it's pretty much the same stuff. Can we recover the pad and try again clean? I think that's what we're going to have to do, Pilch. Meaning that I have to undo the SSTO and we're going to have to tow it back down, which means the jet truck, which has a bajillion broken wheels for whatever reason, needs to be recovered and remade. But once again, this is why I'm playing early hours KSP, dudes, so we can fix the boring stuff now to get to the good stuff later. So what I'm going to do is set the launch table into the forward position, and then I'm going to set the T into the reverse position. I'm going to hit play, and we're going to bring the thing down horizontal again. And what I want to do this time around is undo the big SSTO, roll it down, stop it right here, fix the jet truck, attach the jet truck back to it, roll it back up, and reattach it and see if it works. We got to go through troubleshooting. I have to figure out why it's doing that. It didn't do that before. It didn't do that. We locked that thing out no problem last time. We did have a couple of anomalies on the pad, though, this time around. When I went to integrate the thing, the two alignment air brakes that were right there got Kraken struck by the landing gear. So we might need to go rethink a couple of things with this upgraded design. Hey, Bandit, where's Frog? Huh? Why isn't Kerbal playing any noise? That's very peculiar. What will be the first cargo payload? I have 2 resource tracking satellites in here. One of them is for a mission, and the other one is for tracking resources on Kerbin. They're 2 Mark 6 satellite buses. Very, very light payload for this. Should be very easy. Very, very light duty. Did you see that video I sent you? No, Panta, I promptly ignored everything you said after you said it was a good game. No, it was not a good game. You should feel bad about winning. I haven't seen it yet, man. Is the SSEO too light to lock out the hinge? No, Pilch. What's going on here with this thing? What's going on is the SSTO, when we got it into the vertical position, it was leaning this way. It was leaning towards the water just slightly. And my hinge, right? The hinge is designed to do basically this, right? It's designed to, when it's like that, it's designed to go like this, right? Because the SSTO was leaning this way, the hinge was bending upwards like this. It was bending it. It was bending it upright, which is annoying. Okay. I'm probably just going to recover this entire thing. Something just went boom down there. A battery bank collided into the terrain. Why? But we didn't hear it because Kerbal decided to delete the sounds. Where was that battery located? Why would I missed what happened. We got to recover. Let's recover everything. Something is not right here. Oh my goodness, that hinge is still locked out. Yep, we're just recovering everything right now. Yep, let's just recover all of it right now. Yep, yeah. The hinge was locked out and we still took the thing horizontal. That's why it blew up. Okay, cool. That could have ended poorly. Alright, let's recover the jet truck. Alright, I gotta restart KSP as well. I don't know why it's not playing any sound. Okay, that last bit where the battery bank took a dump, that's fine. That's okay. The reason why the battery bank broke is because it was auto-strutted to something on the TE, and when it bent it down, it blew the battery pack up. That's fine. I know exactly what happened there. That one was me, that time around. But we were still getting some pretty hard misalignment there. So I'm going to give KSP a quick restart, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, you guys can check this out. That was me. That was a mistake that I made, that last one. So that's fine. But we still have... Basically, we're running into a load problem here. Long story short, I'm not sure how we can find ways to cope with this amount of weight. No, X, it's fine. I'm really getting concerned about the GSG and really wish you'd switch over to a less complicated load and launch SSTO before the thing explodes badly again. Like what? Like what? You want to get stuck in a development loop for another 3 months? I don't mind doing that. I don't have a problem with that. Like, thanks for the concern, bro. Like, Tessa, what do you want me to do? You want me to just start working on Star Raker? Screw this project? Like, you want me to... I'll do it. If you guys want. Yeah, I see it, Thomas. They're probably going to be about a half hour late, though, so we got about an hour. I mean, like, Tessa, like, I have concerns about this, so scrap the whole project? Dude, I have concerns about stuff, too. Should we just live with it? Should we just live with it, or should we try and fix it? Like, no, King. No, Tessa was like, oh, I have real concerns about the GSE, so we're just going to sit here and accept that it's a problem instead of trying to fix it? Like, what's the plan here? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but how does that help me? How does that help me make this work? Like, you see, just make it simpler. Yeah, I'm working on it. I mean, we're asking a good deal of Kerbal here. We're asking a good deal we're asking Kerbal to do a lot of things that it was never designed to do. But, I mean, Tessa, if we just sat here, like, it's what we were talking about before. If we just sat here and every time that we had a problem, we just said, nah, never mind, let's do it a different way. Like, what good does that do? Second part of that is, it's like, okay, so what do I work on now? Do we want to just work on Star Raker? That's where I wanted to go, but we all agreed that, you know, Star Raker is a down the road project. Let's get our big SSTOs working, and then we can go and make this. After fixing the structural issues on the big one, it would be an absolute shame to cancel it. And this feeds into a bigger thing. Like, it feeds into a bigger thing. You shouldn't cancel it when it's like 90% good to go. Like, that's what happened to the real one, you know? Let's not do that. Like, I understand what you're saying, Tessa, but I can power through. I'll fix these problems. You know why I'll fix these problems? Because I know what they are. I know why it's doing it. I understand perfectly why that hinge was doing what it was doing. You know? Like, there has to come a point where you're getting into development hell, throwing more and more resources at something until they ultimately... Well, if you guys didn't want to get stuck in development hell, you shouldn't have voted for an SSTO. Like, like, I don't mean to be mean. That's on you guys. I said I would design it in good faith, and I said we were going to be down for the next couple of months, pretty much all summer. Was I wrong? Bro, I know this game. You know, Tessa, we knew it was coming. We knew it would be down for months. Like, I don't know what you want to hear. No excuses, man. I'm going to get this thing to work, and I'm going to prove that it's going to work, and I'm going to get my money's worth. In order for the SSDO to break even, we need about about $8 million worth of profits. If it breaks even, then I'll consider designing something else. We have $8 million worth of chat funding invested in this project. I'm not getting rid of it. You know? It's not worth it. If it explodes, we just get spare parts from the pick and pull. My guy. Yeah, Valerio, it's designed to be difficult. When is the next Falcon Heavy launch? USS F-44 got delayed until next year, serious. I don't know. I don't think it's the booster. I'm going to guess that it's probably the payload. Alright, so let's go and take a look at the pad here and let's see what's going on. Like, once again, Taz, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just like, you said like, oh, I have concerns. Maybe we should switch to something else. Like, this happens with every project, dude. People said this about the Freedom Rocket. Oh, I have concerns with launching it with Dart. And look where it got us. It's Constellation. You're literally doing what Eric Berger does with SLS. Trust me, dude. Let's power through and let's get it done. It'll be a lot better once I get this thing up and running. Considering the boosters for USSF-44 are already at the pad, it's probably payload stuff. Agreed. Are you comparing me to Eric Berger? Considering you just did the exact same thing that he does, yeah, absolutely. You just said the exact same thing. It's a logic loop. Unsub. That was savage. Am I wrong? Like, you gotta bear with me, man. This stuff takes time. We're trying something new. No, I've never tried to build something like this. This is literally a reusable Collins. This is tough, man. It's a tough project. Trust me. It'll be worth it when it works. And then once, you know, we'll making 8 million with this thing should be pretty damn easy. And once I do, we should have enough science to unlock, we should have enough of everything to unlock the rapiers, and then we make something ridiculous. And then we take what we learned from this project and make something insane. And when that happens, we'll roll out stuff like Skyline. I love how my brain defaulted to Skyline. Nice. Then we make stuff like this. And then we do stuff like this. You know? That's coming in the pipe. I want that model. Engineering man, you will grant me this model immediately. Oh, somebody made one in KSP. Oh, very nice. Would that mean you'd only need payload integration and refueling? No pad. The runway is the pad, sure. I mean, Sneaky, Skylon is cool. I always thought Star Raker would be a better idea. I think that Skylon and Star Raker are kind of the end game to doing this. Yeah, you like that, Jackal? Sneaky, that is basically a C5, an XB-70, a space shuttle, and an external tank all rolled into one. It has the payload capacity of a C5 Galaxy. It uses a lot of clustered jet engines like an XB-70 or a Concorde, and then there's a space shuttle external tank and 3 engines in the back. This is Rockwell's Star Raker. Rockwell, and this was by the people that engineered the shuttle. This thing is, I mean, this would be one hell of a project. We could do it though. I'm not worried. It would take off like an airplane, and it could just zip right up into space by using, it had basically XB-70 engines on the back, but if you look, it also has the 3 shuttle engines on the back as well. 3 main engines, and then 3 RS-25s and 2 orbiter maneuvering engines right there. Yeah. Alright. So, is Kerbal generating sounds this time around, or? Yeah, okay, it is. I mean, yeah, Skylon will need some type of crane, Tessa, right? I'd probably end up using the crane that we made for the small SSTO, for the small SSTO's pad. Skylon needs some type of crane like that. Star Raker does not need a crane. You just drive a trailer in there, load the thing up, and that's it. Did you ever do some airplanes? I do from time to time when we need them, Valerio, yeah. Yeah, it's roll on, roll off, exactly. But, all right, let's figure out why this is doing this. So, when we went to put this thing up on the pad, we lost these air brakes. The landing gear on the SSDO hit those air brakes. And I'm not sure why it did that. But perhaps I should just be more careful. And then that hinge was really moving around. Some of those airplanes that are on Kerbal X are outdated and they don't work anymore, but yeah. So Matt, with the Star Raker, it does what the Super Guppy does. It does what the Super Guppy does. The whole front is it pivots off to the side, and then the payload whoop, goes out the back. Could be done. I could do that in Kerbal. Yeah, no problem. We can make this in KSP. It's doable. Crew 3 now, October 31st at 2:21 a.m. That's after Hunt the... that's Hunt the Streamer. Damn it. Why? It never ends. It never ends. But, once again, I don't want to just abandon a project when we come up with a better idea. We're going to finish this. I'm going to see this through. Feel like the wingspan... Yeah, in here, X, it would... Yeah, absolutely, man. I've made something similar to it before. We've made the K90. The K90 was kind of a test to see if something like this is possible, and the answer is absolutely. Oh yeah, it can be made. No, that's different. Back it up a little ways. Those are the screenshots that I took for starting career mode. There's the rules. We should just be able to go back a little bit more. There's some really cool pictures in here.
Go at throttle up.
This was May of 2020 when I fixed Condor's pad to do a DM2 style mission. I remember that. Ready? Hey, Postal. 12-month resub. There it is. There's the K90. I can make planes like this. It's no problem. Yeah, Falcon, it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, see? We can make that fuselage shape. I can make those wings using wing tessellation. It would take a second, but we could do it. Also, the K90 is one of the craziest, coolest planes we've ever made, and it works. This is a seaplane, guys. It is a seaplane that can circumnavigate Kerbin with 18 tons of payload in the payload bay. I can literally move anything, anywhere. And if there's a water, if there's a, you know, like a port or something, or just some flat ground, we can roll up onto the terrain and we can drop trucks off. It's like a spruce goose on drugs. Blended wing body. Yeah, it works. It works really well. And we could use that to make Star Raker. I could use the same type of tech. That combined with the SSDO tech that we have now would make pretty much the end-all be-all of Kerbal vehicles. A cocaine crane. That's right. That's awesome. Yeah, that plane is sick, dude. Very, very cool design. You can also drop stuff out of the back. You can airdrop stuff if you really want to. We tested it in engineering mode. How do those two vehicles fit inside the plane? The back opens up. The whole back opens up. The whole tail of this plane opens that way. See? And then a ramp folds out. Is it large enough? Yeah, of course. Payload bay goes to here. Payload bay is huge. Yeah. I can fit my K200s and trailers inside. Yeah. I think I had to make 2 trips to get all of this out here, though, Riv, if I'm remembering right. I think. I don't know. I don't remember. This was May the 4th, 2020. Made pod racers and stuff. And there's Triton. Yeah, Dead Crew. There's Triton. Triton. Yeah. Triton was insane. No, the K90 is a gigantic plane. It's one of the biggest planes that I've made in this game, Rivian. But it could lead to Star Raker. I could make something like this. No problem. In stock KSP. It would be, the whiplashes would be hard to get right, but we could do it. Either way. We're getting this right first. Just wanted to pop in and say thank you to everyone. We've already raised $9,000 for our family in the first couple of hours. Good. Good, good. All right. So the only real thing to do here is to conduct another test. We got to conduct another test with this thing. And we got to make sure that it works. No, it doesn't. The Pilch, it doesn't have Rapier engines. It uses turbo ramjets. So something kind of like SR-71 motors. You still love the launch box? Thanks, man. Where's the pad? There's the pad. Let me just make sure it's the same craft file as the one in the SPH. 731 dry mass 272.8. Vectors and whiplashes, J-Speed, yeah. We might need to overclock the whiplashes if we're gonna do that right. I don't think 12 whiplashes would be enough to move however big that plane is. If we decide to make that. All right, let's do this. It looks like they're doing a lot of rigging inspecting on the with the lift right there. Pop up. See that? They're doing rigging inspecting, so that means they're just trying to make sure that everything is working there. Meaning that that lift might be a little ways off. Here, I'm gonna shut that for now. I'll keep that screen on, and we'll get some tunage going. All right, so the air brake controller needs to be reset. And to get this pad, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it like this, and we'll get the SSTO out. go from there. Did you hear what was really wrong with the Starliner valves? There's a press conference in, give or take, 15, 20 minutes, Far. And I'm sure Boeing will clue us in. The fact that they're willing to have a press conference about it is actually pretty rad. Guys, once again, Scott Manley has done a video on some info that got out. I'll wait for the official release. Not to badmouth Scott. I love Scott. He's a good buddy of mine. I like hearing stuff right from NASA. I don't, and Far, this is just kind of a rule of mine. I don't like to disseminate information that's already been disseminated by somebody else. Basically go through Scott that's going through NASA. I like going directly to source. And once again, I know Scott's probably 100% spot on. That guy knows more about rockets than I do. Yeah, he's way better than me. Oh yeah. I will say that. I will say that out loud. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid to say someone knows more about rockets than I do. Yeah. So, yeah. We'll hear it from NASA here. I'm curious to what NASA has to say, and we'll disseminate that information together. I'd prefer to analyze information on stream, because that way, if I'm off in my assumption, or if I'm off in my analysis, we can basically correct it right away. Chat will tell me I'm wrong, don't worry. I use chat to my advantage when we're analyzing what's going on in the space program, dude. NASA hold music is live. Yeah, Slackster, that's cool. Stream the audio? Sure. Pretty much, Gagan. It's just about the oxidization in the valves. Rocket Guy, I'm more curious as to how it got there. You have, I mean, Rocket, you and I have talked about this before, so I'm just really saying this for chat's benefit at this point. Guys, we know that those valves are based off of the shuttle. And they had this problem during the shuttle program. So, if that's the case, why is it manifesting itself now? You should know a lot about these valves. That's why I've always said that this is some kind of strange processing problem, or because, well, they must have done something different with the valves, because if they're the same valves as the shuttle and they work just fine on the shuttle, and they don't work fine on Starliner, which is essentially, Starliner's service module is essentially a shuttle ohms pod in cylindric form, from what I can tell, minus the AJ-10, right? If they're borrowed from the shuttle program, well, then what's going on? Like, that's why I always thought, like, this is just something, I thought it was because the capsule sat. But it's kind of becoming more and more clear that that might not be the only problem. Hey, Math, what's going on? Apparently it's a known issue. Teflon can break down, but of course in the seats. But why now? Yes. Rocket Guy, my gut is still telling me it's because the capsule sat. It's because it sat there for 3 months without basically anybody touching it. If there's residual NTO in the system and they let, after checkout testing and then they go to launch it, I mean, that means it has a shelf life. A lot of things in aerospace have a shelf life before it breaks down. Soyuz has a shelf life on orbit before the propellants will basically decompose. I'm great, Astro. Everything is good. I'm trying to get my big SSDO working correctly. Got your new bird. Let me see, Sledge. Whoa. Oh, a Maverick. Is it all-wheel drive? Is it the all-wheel drive one, Sledge, or the front-wheel drive one? Tell me you got hooked up. That would suck if it sat on orbit for 3 months and had that happen. Yeah, but what's important to understand, Hellfish, is that the system is designed to work in the vacuum. It's designed to sit up there. It's not designed to sit down here. Of course, all-wheel drive needed that in PA. How do you like it then, Sledge? Please let me be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's careless and thoughtless work. It wouldn't be the first time, and it's sad because I want this project to succeed. See, Hater, that's what I'm saying that it isn't. I don't think it's that. I really, honestly and truly don't think. Like, I get it. It's fashionable to hate on Boeing right now. I don't think so. Look, if you want to really, really, really be like, well, actually, EJ, right? If we want to... Stop. This is the wrong craft file. This is the SSTO that... This is serial 7. Nope. Wrong craft file. Hold on. Like, okay, think about it like this. Think about it like this. You know, Boeing had that problem with the Starliner, with the Starliner capsule. And yes, that is a problem. And yes, it did manifest itself, right? On the OFT-1 mission. Everything else was proven to be correct with the capsule. What's Boeing usually guilty of when it comes to spaceflight? Going slow. That's the MO. Not that they make bad spaceflight hardware. Look at the core stage. You want to apply that same logic to SLS's core stage? SLS's core stage works great. It works fantastic. We saw it green run. We saw it do a full duration burn. So the only thing Boeing is really guilty of is going slow. Not necessarily bad spacecraft. Aircraft, I don't know. That's a different company. Don't even try to conflate Boeing's airline industry or the airliner production to spacecraft production. Those are two different things. What about the X-37? The X-37 is Boeing's. That thing works just fine. See what I'm talking about? Boeing's MO is slow and steady, not that it doesn't work. They had a little bit of a problem with the OFT-1 mission, and yeah, but you got to give the benefit of the doubt, dude. It's teething problems. When has Boeing ever made a capsule before? They're reusing components from other spacecrafts. Sure, absolutely. But when have they made a capsule? And if you want to go, you know, oh, well, EJ, they're a part of this company that absorbed this company. The last time that anything in the Boeing group had any intellectual property manufacturing a capsule was the Apollo CSM. That was 50 years ago. See what I'm talking about? $767's pretty cool, though. It's a great airplane. Self-synthesis. All of the spaceships, please.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
So, fellas, look, I'm not shilling for Boeing. They should have gotten this right. You should have gotten it right on the first try. Like, I'm not even afraid to say that. You should have gotten this right on the first try. NASA was basically trusting you to do that, and you didn't do it. But I also understand that teething problems do happen with spacecraft. It happens. You cannot predict every single conceivable scenario. That is impossible. That's impossible, even for a computer. What's that on your face? Shattered, 34 months. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I get it. Like, it's... Okay, this is the revised baseline here. There we go. Alright, let's get this out there and see if we can get this to work, right? That's right, Sneaky. Synthesis with a resub there, and Shatter had a resub. Thanks, guys. And then Postal had one before that, too. So, like, fellas, once again, I know it's fashionable to hate on Boeing, but I'm trying not to because I know that's the fashionable thing to do. I like going against the grain, and I like playing devil's advocate here because the truth of the matter is that until we hear what's going on in that press conference, we know dick. We don't know what's going on. It's all conjecture and hearsay. So let's figure out what Boeing and NASA are going to tell us in this press interview, and then base your conclusions off of that, whether you think it's a management problem. That's been my thing, dude. Everybody, especially in this, especially on like Twitter and stuff, but I know that Twitter isn't a real place. So it doesn't really count. It doesn't count. Twitter ain't a real place. You know who said that, right? Anyway, That's how people fanboy about SpaceX is not how the industry works. Everybody's cheering everybody to succeed because anybody that has skin in this game, anybody that has skin in this game, doesn't matter if it's Tory Bruno, Peter Beck, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows that, you know, this is a hard thing to do, and people need to know, like, everybody helps everybody whenever they can, short of like giving them the plans to their rockets. When it comes to safety criteria and processing criteria, everybody shares information with everybody else. And that's right from Tory Bruno and Gwen Shotwell, who should hate each other if you believed space Twitter. You know, at the end of the day, it's really not a good idea to be at each other's throats. So that's why I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt to any company. Because anybody that's dumb enough to throw skin in the game to try and, meaning put their money towards trying to advance spaceflight, yeah, I'm in. I will back them 100%. I won't talk bad until being talked bad about is deserved and there's concrete evidence. Twitter ain't real. That's right, Shatter. Spaceflight takes time, Far. It takes time. And don't get me wrong, that shouldn't be a crutch excuse, but honestly, spaceflight takes time. I think I've demonstrated pretty well here as to why it takes time. The ride is really nice and there's plenty of room inside. I was surprised. Getting 26 miles per gallon with the EcoBoost just driving around locally. Nice. What's this, Forge?
Tradition in our industry that human safety transcends proprietary information and issues like that, intellectual property. We are not going ever to withhold something that would put other people at risk. That's just not how it's done.
That's right from Tory Bruno, man, and he doesn't lie.
Tradition.
TB don't lie. Hey, Joe, what's going on? I just don't think it's healthy to be at each other's throats. Simultaneously, at that exact same time, you know, I do think that eventually people are going to have to adapt to how SpaceX is doing things. And I think that'll happen over the natural course of time. You know, I think that's the way that Elon looks at spaceflight is the right move. If we really want to take it seriously, you have to go full ham on it and try and make something like Starship. And I know, you know, a lot of, you know, that's hard to do in the industry, right? You know, like take Tory Bruno's position, for instance, with ULA. I'm sure he would love to make a reusable launch vehicle. But you got to remember, what's his bread and butter? His bread and butter is defense contracts. They don't, you don't need you don't need a reusable vehicle for those. It's incentivized under the NSSL program, which is why him and ULA are cautiously working on reusability with smart reuse, with the reusable upper stage Centaur design. Because his primary clientele for the payloads that he launches require basically an expendable vehicle and low frequency of launch. So there's no point in making a reusable craft. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to do it. And that doesn't mean that ULA won't pivot to a fully reusable architecture at some point. Oh, I wish, Hellfish. Another crack adventure star would make me so happy. I just wish I could share everything. Yeah, welcome to my life, Vulcan. You haven't been doing this for very long, dude. I've been doing this for a long time. I get fed it, dude. I get information, man. I've been sitting on stuff that I have to keep secret. If I want people to keep telling me what's going on, you get stuff every once in a while. You get bits and pieces. You hear stuff through the pipeline, and you're like, I want to tell everybody what's going on. Oh, Boeing is live. Okay, fellas, we'll get this SSDO reintegrated here momentarily. I want to listen to this press conference. Forge, link us up. Oh, you already did. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary. It's great to be here to talk about the progress. And the first thing I want to say is the Boeing NASA team is incredible. They are.
I'm going to keep playing KSP, guys.
Working through investigation with a lot of rigor and care. Of course, the oxidizer is a hazardous commodity, and they've taken precautions along the way. We've made a lot of progress since we last talked. The team has worked through a lot of the items on the fault tree and had a lot of closures on that over the last month or so, using data from the vehicle as they do testing and also components offline to close out those items, and they'll work through a lot of the items on the fault tree over the next month or so. Michelle's going to talk more about it, but today's a pretty big day. After offloading oxidizer on the spacecraft in the last week, 2 of the valves have been removed, and those will go to the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center that has a really good CT scanner, like when you go in for a medical procedure. A lot of spaceflight hardware gets CT scanned, and there's a CT scanner there that will be used to look at the valves first, and then they'll go into a disassembly to look for the root cause. We also have our White Sands test facility at NASA involved. They have a long heritage with hypergolic propellants, and they'll be doing some testing. They have started some testing on 2 valves, which we started back in September, a long-term oxidizer exposure without moisture. We'll get some other valves out to White Sands and put them through a bunch of paces to replicate the environment in the C3PF, and then also at the VIF to go understand root cause. And of course, we've talked about, we'll fly when we're ready. We talked about the first half of next year as being a viable launch period, and I know John and Michelle will talk more about that. I'm incredibly proud of the team. They continue to work through the fault tree, continue to make progress, and we'll fly when we're ready. And I'll turn it over to John Vollmer, the program manager for Boeing.
So this is the Starliner press conference, guys. They're going to give us an update about what's going on.
So I'd like to start with a thank you for all of you for your interest in our progress. I'd also like to thank NASA and Aerojet Rocketdyne. Their partnership in this process has been absolutely invaluable. And then, of course, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Starliner team. They're really taking this like consummate professionals. They're committed to solving this challenge and getting back to the launch pad. Proceeding is just a tremendous honor and responsibility of flying astronauts to the International Space Station. And that goes for the Boeing company as well. We are resolute in fulfilling our commitments that we've made to NASA to carry crew back and forth to the International Space Station. So with that, let me share what we've set as our objective for OFT2. And that is to get back to flight safely, and I stress safely, as soon as possible.
Thanks, Marks.
So everything we've done up to this point and the path that we're developing going forward is going to enable us to meet that goal of getting back to flight safely and as soon as possible. We looked at the options of how to go forward, and we felt the best path was to proceed with the current service module. By keeping the same service module and crew module configuration, it's putting us somewhere in the first half of 2022. And, of course, that's pending spacecraft readiness, the availability of the Atlas V, getting a date on the range, and, of course, working with our ISS partners to ensure that we've got a port to dock. I've also, we have Michelle Parker with us today, and let me just give her a proper introduction. So Michelle is the Chief Engineer for Space and Launch Systems for the Boeing Company. She's responsible for not only the technical integrity success of Boeing Starliner, she's also responsible for engineering on the International Space Station, the Space Launch System, and satellite programs. So she has a lot of background and has been involved in helping us work the troubleshooting, the root cause investigation, and as we work through the remediation activities to develop the path forward for this spacecraft.
Be like Michelle.
So she's been an incredible partner, and that's why I asked her to be here with us today. She will take a lot of the technical questions, and I'll focus on the programmatic questions. And so, Michelle, over to you.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right. Listen.
Before I go into some of the technical details, I also would like to express my appreciation to NASA and to Aerojet and this combined team that really has been working very diligently from the time that we've had the issue on the launch pad to today. It really couldn't be a better team, very knowledgeable, all the way down to the details of the propulsion system, as well as operations. And so really a great team working very, very closely together through a complex and difficult problem. So today I'm here at the Commercial Crew and Cargo Processing Facility. So downstairs, the vehicle is downstairs in High Bay. And as Steve already mentioned, it's been a big day for us today because we have removed 2 of the valves, and we are planning to remove a 3rd as well. So we've gotten 2 of the valves successfully off of the vehicle, and the team's proceeding on to the 3rd valve. And those will be important for us in order for us to verify what we believe is the most probable cause of the issue. So we'll take those valves, we'll pack them up, and we will send them out to Marshall Space Flight Center, where, as Steve said, they'll get CT scanned and then be further disassembled to verify the root cause. So let me take us back a little bit. So back on August 3rd, we were on the launch pad. We were progressing through our countdown launch procedure through nominal operations, and about 4.5 hours prior to launch is a standard cycling of the valves. That's just part of our normal launch countdown procedure. And at that time, we had 13 of the 24 valves which would not cycle for us, and at that time we determined that we would not be launching that day. So since that time, we conducted troubleshooting efforts at the launch pad and then also at the vertical integration facility. So we did spend some time there digging into the root cause, establishing our fault tree, and doing investigation on the vehicle to pinpoint what was going on with the valves. At that time in the vertical integration facility, we were able to free 19 of those 13 stuck valves. So through a combination of higher voltages, some external power to the valves, and some heating, we were able to free 9 of those 13 valves. But at the end of the day, there were 4 that remained in a stuck configuration that we were unable to free at the vertical integration facility, and we therefore decided to roll back to the factory, which is where we are now. Also during that time, the team, again, that combined team, NASA, Aerojet, Boeing, put together an extensive fault tree on all potential causes that could be contributing to this condition. Very, very quickly, we were able to eliminate a number of those items, such as wiring or bad instrumentation that was just giving us faulty readings. Those were eliminated quickly from the fault tree. And also very quickly, the team really honed in on this most probable cause of an interaction between the oxidizer that is in the system and water or humidity in the valves as well, combining to form nitric acid and corrosion products, which then contributed to the sticking of the valves. So
it's on the service module, Kim, yes.
Honed in on that pretty quickly, but again, working rigorously through the fault tree to make sure that we had supporting data to be clearing off the other branches on the tree. And we've really remained with that probable cause for the majority of this investigation. We did roll back to the factory, where we were able to gain better access to the valves by removal of some of the panels and such on the vehicle, and be able to get direct access to those valves to perform additional troubleshooting efforts, which again included the addition of higher voltages that we also were able to do at the VIF, and then additional heating to the external portions of the valve, and we were able to free additional valves. We also took 3 valves and we disassembled the dry side of the valve, so not where the oxidizer is, but on the ends of the valve are dry areas. One side including the solenoid that operates the valve, one side containing the valve positioning indicator that tells us whether the valve is open or closed. It provides the telemetry as to whether the valve is open or closed. We were able to disassemble 3 different valves to look in and see if we saw any anomalous behavior in there. We did, the solenoid side of the valve was fairly clean. The valve positioning indicator side, as we disassembled that, we did get some indications of oxidizer, as well as we saw corrosion products in the form of aluminum nitrates, which again supported the root cause that we have been pointing at. So that investigation was complete, and again continued to support what we believe was the root cause. From there, we've moved into remediation efforts. As John said, we believe our quickest path back to launch is to use Service Module 2, again, assuming that we can do that in a safe manner that ensures operation of the vehicle. So we've continued to look at remediation efforts there, including adding desiccant to the valves to prevent further moisture ingression, as well as looking at adding heaters, because also as part of our troubleshooting efforts, we did put heat externally to the valves, which allowed the 3 of the remaining 4 valves to free up. We have 1 valve that remains stuck closed, but we've reserved that one. We haven't tried this troubleshooting method because we want to preserve that for further investigation, and that's one of the valves that we're removing. So looking at going forward with Service Module 2, what remediation efforts would need to be there for Service Module 2. So we've spent some time on the vehicle looking at that and testing that as well. So that's been part of our investigation. And as we mentioned today, last week, we removed the oxidizer from the system. Team did a really great job of working through a complex operation to get that volatile commodity off of the spacecraft. So that has been removed. And then they proceeded into removing the valves, which is where we are today, removing those 2 valves, and the 3rd will be removed as well. So, really where we are right now is 3 areas that we need to continue to work. The verification, which will include those removed valves going down to Marshall Flight Center for CT scan and disassembly to look at corrosion products there, remediation that we would need for flight, and then flight rationale that will work very closely with NASA, both the commercial crew program and ISS. So those are kind of the 3 focus areas that we're working through. And then just to say a little bit about this phenomenon of the corrosion. These valves do have Teflon seals in them. The Teflon is chosen because it's compatible with the oxidizer, but it is known that oxidizer will permeate through Teflon. So that's a known phenomenon that's been seen previously, depending on the length of time that commodity is in the system. But the Teflon is chosen because it is compatible with the oxidizer. We've been able to rule out a number of areas, like I said, with regard to wiring, instrumentation, the propulsion controller itself. So we are down now those 13 valves that have been stuck. We've been able to free up 12 of them with the 1 that we're preserving for further verification efforts. So we haven't really tried all of our tricks on that one. So that one is one of the valves we're removing to send to Marshall. And, I'd just like to reiterate what John said. Our goal is really to get back to flight safely. We will ensure that everything is safe and that all procedures are followed safely and as quickly as possible. We really are excited to be able to launch this vehicle and test it out. It is important that we do it right, and the team's been very diligent about working through all of the potential causes and planning out all of the investigations and remediation. It is a complex issue. It's a complex issue that we've had to work through. So we definitely have been methodical about that, and again, teams working together very closely every day to use sound engineering processes to get through that. And, really looking forward to these next couple steps of verification, getting the valves remediated, and determining when it's safe and prudent to fly. And with that, I'll turn it back to Gary.
All right, thank you, Michelle, and thanks to our briefers for those initial remarks. We'll now open it up for questions. Again, if you're on the line, you have to press *1 to enter into our queue, and I'll read off your name and affiliation. Whenever you're called, please state to whom you'd like to direct your question, and we'll take Q&A for the rest of our time today. So with that, let's start off on our queue with Bill Harwood from CBS News.
Hi, it's Bill Harwood, CBS, just across the street from you. I'm curious how the water/humidity got into the valves. I mean, lots of rockets use these propellants, but this seems to have caught everyone off guard, and I'm kind of wondering about that. I'm wondering if the rocket being exposed at pad 41 for a couple of days in Florida weather was a factor. And I guess what I'm really asking is, you know, is this something nobody thought about? I mean, I know you guys think about stuff like this, but I'm really curious how it happened. Thanks.
Yeah, I can take that one. So I think it is also important to note that we have seen this propulsion system work successfully. It's the same propulsion system that we used during our service module hot fire, as well as our pad abort test, as well as OFT-1, and had not seen any of these issues. So there was no reason to believe that we would have a concern here. We are looking at the length of time that the oxidizer was in the system to, enable that permeation through the Teflon seal, as well as the environmental conditions at the time. We do have a purge in the vehicle that should limit the humidity
really,
in that
Sarah.
area, but really the thought is that the just normal environment humidity was likely the source of that moisture in the valve, and that's what we're looking at now. And as we do see, as I mentioned, when we disassembled the valve, as we were back here in the factory, and we did see aluminum nitrate, so that that shows us that we did have oxidizer and humidity present in that area.
All right, thank you. We'll do our next question with Joey Roulette from the New York Times.
Hey, thank you for doing this. Question for John Vollmer. When was it first determined that Boeing couldn't launch until the first half of next year? And Boeing took a $410 million charge to do this OFT redo. And I was wondering if, who was bearing most of the cost for these troubleshooting issues, and will Boeing need to take something like another charge in the future? And then one other question for Steve Stitch. This problem was kind of found pretty close to launch, and that's something that the ASAP highlighted as a concern in its most recent meeting. And for both NASA and Boeing, I guess, are you guys reviewing how you verify flight readiness? Are you making any changes to what you guys do before launch? Thanks.
Okay, Joey. Let me start with some of those there, and then we'll try to answer all of them. So relative to the cost, so NASA would not bear any responsibility for those costs that are within scope of our contract. It is firm fixed price. So we're not expecting any charges to the government from that side. Let's see, relative to, and everybody asks this question, discovery, why didn't we know this before we went to the pad? So just to be clear, we had operated these valves, as Michelle said, we had operated them on 3 different fire indications. But we had, in the vehicle itself, we had cycled these valves many times in the factory as we installed them, as we checked them out, as we went through the environmental qualification testing. There was further vehicle qualification testing where these valves were cycled. And so we had no indication that there was going to be any problem with these valves. So we did load up the commodities 46 days before flight. And we're looking at that. Is that a contributing factor? Our specification is we should be good for 60 days. So we had loaded it 46 days before. We thought we'd be fine. Once we have loaded the propellant and the oxidizer onto the vehicle, we cannot cycle those valves, at random. We have to be at the pad. We have to be powered up, and so that was part of our procedures, was to cycle those valves 4.5 hours before flight. So we really didn't have any indication or reason to believe that those valves would not cycle. Part of that cycling is just to open them for our flight procedures. So, will we do something different? And that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at, maybe we load propellant later. Maybe there's some, some different purge operations that we will make sure that we conduct to mitigate moisture. And so we're looking at all those things as potential to mitigate this problem going forward. And I'll turn it over to Michelle to add any additional that she's got.
Yeah, John, I think you covered it pretty well. I just add that the valves, as you said, went through full qualification efforts, acceptance testing of each of the valves. We saw them operate on the vehicle. We saw them cycle when we serviced. We cycled a couple of them post-servicing. So there really wasn't any indication during their operation prior that there would be an issue.
Yeah, and this is Steve. In terms of the flight readiness review process, I mean, I thought that process was very thorough, and we reviewed, all the problems on the vehicle. I think the thing that was a bit of a surprise here, if you look back, we had a pad abort test in 2019 at White Sands missile range and flew a very similar service module and had no issues, cycled the valves, loaded, didn't have any problem with permeation. We flew OFT-1 in December of 2019 and also no problems with that vehicle. It was out at the pad in a little longer time frame. We did a dry dress rehearsal. We did a wet tanking test for there, and so I think we didn't anticipate a problem at all. When we've seen issues with Teflon in previous programs in NASA, it's been a very subtle thing, and it's been hard to kind of sneak out. The Teflon is very important because it's very compatible with oxidizer. Most seals on these kind of valves are not compatible, so they use Teflon. Teflon, in this case, permeated a little oxidizer. Oxidizer has an affinity for moisture, and so perhaps it was drawing the moisture in, and then we'll understand that a little bit better when we get the valves off, take them to Marshall, disassemble them, and see where these corrosion products are. So.
Thank you. We'll now go to Jackie Waddles with CNN.
Hey, folks. Thanks so much for doing this. Just to follow up really quickly on Bill and Joey's questions, do we know any specifics about why there were only 3 or 4 valves that couldn't become unstuck? I mean, were they? Is it possible there were manufacturing defects for those, or anything about why it was only some of them that seemed to be a persistent problem? And then also curious if you could provide kind of more exact timelines on when those oxidizers were added, on the 2019 test flight versus, the last time it was on the pad. If you can say X number of days it was added, before the launch attempt or before the problem was identified versus what happened in 2019. Thanks so much.
Jackie, yes, I can answer that, and then John and Steve can add on if they'd like. So with regard to the first question of why those 4 valves perhaps remained stuck when we were at the VIF, we are through troubleshooting after that, we can see in the current traces of the valves that there is likely something going on with a number of the valves, and some are just better behaved than others. So we don't think there's anything unique necessarily in the valve. We found nothing different in the manufacturing or the lot data. We've gone through all of that. We don't see anything different really in the acceptance test data for these valves. And so again, we think based on what we're seeing in our troubleshooting that probably the majority of these oxidizer valves have some, have some level of this going on in them. So I would say that, perhaps those 4 either were, had a little more of the corrosion products, or in the case of some of the valves, we didn't have the direct access at the launch pad that we had back at the factory, so we weren't able to do all of the, at the vertical integration facility, we weren't able to put the direct heat on some of the valves that we were the others, and we could do that when we returned to the factory. So I would say that was a difference as well.
Hey, Jackie, this is John Ballmer. I'll just add that it was 46 days for OFT2 from the time we loaded the propellant and oxidizer until August 3rd, and on OFT1 it was 35 days. However, we did have a wet dress rehearsal at 21 days into the cycle. Now, that was something that we did on OFT1 because it was the first time we were flying, and so the wet dress rehearsal was primarily to make sure that we had an integrated spacecraft and launch vehicle, that everything was operating correctly between the two. So We wouldn't necessarily do a wet dress rehearsal for every flight. It was just that first flight. But anyway, the answer to your question was 46 days for OFT2 and 35 days with a wet dress rehearsal at 21 days where we did cycle those valves.
Next question comes from Eric Berger with our
This is the launcher for the SSTO.
Hi, thanks for doing this today. A question for Stitch. Can you clarify how many missions that NASA's purchased from SpaceX and Boeing? I think it maybe is 6 each. I don't know, though. And will you need to negotiate a new contract with SpaceX soon since they're manifested to Crew 5? And then finally, sort of along these same lines, when Boeing is ready to fly crew flights and you're sort of getting into more regular crew rotations, will they alternate with SpaceX, or will they fly several missions in succession to sort of catch up? Thanks.
Yeah, happy to answer the question, Eric. So both SpaceX and Boeing were awarded a total of 6 post-certification missions on the contract, and so both have 6. So for Boeing, we've given authority to proceed on 3 of those flights, and then SpaceX we have turned on, as you said, through Crew 5. We know, today that the space station will likely be extended past 2024, and so we're in the process of going through those contract actions and figuring out how to add additional flights, likely to both contracts at some point. And that will become a little more apparent in the next few months or so, what kind of actions we're going to go do for both. In terms of the long-term plan, our model had always been, and we really want 2 viable space transportation systems, and having Boeing flying to the space station, as John and Michelle said, is extremely important to NASA. When we get into the long-term rotations, we would like to see, SpaceX fly once a year, and then Boeing fly once a year as well. And we're looking forward to the day that we get into those flights where we're handing over from a SpaceX vehicle on orbit to a Boeing vehicle and vice versa.
Next, we have Mike Wall from Space.com.
Thank you all for doing this. Just a quick question about these valves. I just want to get a sense of, are these valves commonly used across a lot of different spacecraft and a lot of different missions? And if that's the case, has this sort of problem ever cropped up before in the research you've done? Is there something that has been observed, this sort of moisture seepage that leads to corrosion? Or is this something that you just hadn't seen in this type of valve before? Thanks.
I can start, and then maybe Steve or John can jump in as well. So these valves, they are, the supplier of the valves is Murata, and they are part of a product line of valves, so they're based on heritage valves that Murata has. There were some slight changes of configuration, dimensions, and such for Starliner exact, specific application, but they had not been used previously for oxidizer. So it's the first use. So they have a history, but they have not been used for oxidizer. That being said, though, they did go through a full qualification program, material compatibility program, and had requirements that were consistent with our operation and the way that we did operate them on launch day. So that's the background of the valves. And as far as, and again, I'll let John and Stitch chime in as well, but there have been previous incidents of permeation of oxidizer through Teflon seals.
Yeah, I can talk. We have seen similar problems with oxidizer permeating on various valves. The one that comes to mind today is on the space shuttle, on the orbiter. We had primary RCS thrusters, about 870-pound thrusters, that were used to maneuver that vehicle, and we would have a similar problem before we instituted some purging when the vehicle was back in the orbiter processing facility. We would see, moisture forming with oxidizer vapor and forming nitrates, and then causing damage. And then we would get on orbit, and many times we would fire a thruster, and we would either fail that thruster off, the valves didn't open properly, or in a few cases it failed leak, and so we had to isolate a manifold. And so it took a little while to figure out what was going on. It was eventually a moisture we remediated that problem with always having a purge on those thrusters, and then we're able to do some changes to the processing and eliminate the problem.
Next is Michael Sheets with CNBC.
Question for John Vollmer. I'm curious, if I understand correctly, these valves are supplied by Aerojet Rocketdyne, and I'm curious whether or not the company is re-examining its existing contracts and suppliers for those valves. Are there other valves out on the marketplace that would be compatible with Starliner? And if so, have you guys taken a look at possibly purchasing different valves from another supplier for future Starliner missions?
Hey, thanks, Michael. So we've been working very closely with Aerojet Rocketdyne. They have been part of our investigation team. They have also involved their supplier, Murata, who's the supplier of those valves. We have looked at the valves. We've looked at the basic design. The basic design is sound. We are looking at, are there some slight modifications we need to make to the design? Is there additional purging that we need to do to make sure we don't get moisture? But no, we believe that the system design is sound, and so we just need to work through what the remediation is that's going to allow us to use those valves. We have not gone and looked at other suppliers at this time. Aerojet Rocketdyne is our propulsion system supplier, so they provide the entire system, and we rely on them to help us with making sure that we've got an end-to-end system that will perform.
Next is Hagen Warren. And Hagen, before you ask your question, if you can state your affiliation. Thanks.
Yeah, hi everybody. Hagen Warren with NASA Spaceflight. And thank you for taking my question. My question is for Michelle. How is the team able to begin repairing the system when the root cause isn't fully identified? And what does the current repair process for Starliner look like? Thank you.
Thanks, Hagen. So with regard to determining the remediation before we fully verified the root cause, I would say, going back to my previous comments, we've been working through the fault tree pretty diligently. Pretty early on, it was, we were narrowing down to this as a most probable cause. So knowing that is the most probable cause allows us to evaluate the remediation techniques, as John mentioned, so the team can continue to work those as we continue to work through verification. The work that we've been able to do here in the factory, the troubleshooting that we've been able to do with desiccant and with heaters has also, again, given us data that supports that root cause, as well as given us information that helps us determine that is the correct or that is a path for remediation. So all of those things we can do, as we continue to do the final verification of that root cause. So, pretty confident in that, in the path that the team's been working through on that. With regard to repair, so as mentioned, we are taking a couple of the valves off for further verification. Those valves will be replaced, so they'll have clean valves in their space, in their place. And then, as John mentioned, we are looking at what we can do to limit the moisture that could potentially get into the valves, such as desiccant, maybe a slight valve tweak to prevent moisture ingression, as well as looking at, at least for service module 2, adding the addition of heaters to the valves that then allow you to free up those byproducts, those corrosion products, and allow the valve to cycle. So the team is designing that as well, and we'll have a design review in the next couple of days on that, but that would be a second part of that repair and remediation. And again, through the troubleshooting efforts that we've been able to do on the factory, we've seen that be successful in freeing up the valves, and so that that gives us confidence that we'll be able to move forward with that remediation plan.
Next is Emery Kelly with Florida Today.
Hey, folks. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I just wanted to follow up on Bill's question, potentially to Michelle. Around that launch time, we had some pretty intense thunderstorms, if I remember correctly. And I just wanted to double check. So far, is the idea here that it was just general crazy Florida humidity, or potentially these storms that rolled through? Because with the former, Florida's always a little crazy humid. So I'm just trying to wrap my mind around where this humidity could have come from. Thanks.
Yeah, Emery, I can address that. So you are right. We did experience some storms while we were out there, both at the VIF and then when we rolled out to the launch pad. And in fact, just the day prior, we had a pretty significant storm. We had some indications on the vehicle at that time that there could be condensation in the vehicle or some type of water ingression. Once we were able to get to, that was is on our fault tree. Once we were able to get to the vehicle and see all of the seals that are between the crew module and the service module, we don't see any significant leaking, so we don't think that it was just pure rain getting into the service module. We do see some indications of moisture or condensation or having been present, which again supports the fact that within the service module, based on the environment, that we were getting some condensation, which again could contribute to this or support this root cause. So we're seeing both, we're seeing that physical evidence on the vehicle, but it's not just, we see no evidence of just pure rain ingression. It's more of a condensation effect.
Next is Paul Brinkman with United Press International.
Hi, thanks. Question for Steve Stitch. I just want to zoom out a little, I guess, like astronauts and access to ISS. Is NASA assuming that Boeing will succeed eventually? I understand NASA has full faith and confidence in the company selected to provide commercial crew launch, but these delays are not insignificant given the original schedules. And I believe there was a third proposal that NASA supported earlier. So in a general context, what has NASA done or is doing to ensure success in case any commercial crew launch provider can no longer deliver for whatever reason? If a provider can no longer deliver in a specified time period, will NASA continue with only one provider, or will another provider be brought in, and when or how quickly would that happen?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, thanks for your question. In the near term, what we have continued to do is we have a certified system with SpaceX, and at the end of October, we're going to embark upon our second crew rotation mission, where we'll have the Crew 3 vehicle launch and come up to the space station, and we'll return the Crew 2 vehicle. And then, we've already talked about the mission in the springtime. April 15th or so is the date, and that'll be Crew 4, which is another SpaceX crew rotation mission. We have every confidence that Boeing will be flying Crew soon. I look back to OFT-1 and how well much of that spacecraft performed on orbit in terms of the systems, the guidance and navigation systems, propulsion systems, the thrusters on the service module, and all the rest of the life support, the avionics, all performed really well. That was a great checkout of Starliner, and it performed well. Now we've found an issue on the service module that we got to go work on. Michelle and John have a good plan laid out of how to get there. Getting these valves out was a huge
I think I found the problem with the pad, guys.
In determining
that
root
explains
cause,
your deviation right there. Look at that.
We've already seen some success with remediation of moisture on the service module, and also using heaters to free the valves up. So, we'll get this problem solved, and then we'll have two space transportation systems like we want. We'll have Boeing and SpaceX both flying and fulfill the needs of our flights, and so that's our plan for the future. So.
Okay, but I guess I still want to know, does that mean you're assuming that Boeing will be successful at some point?
Yeah, I
Who is
have
this?
I have no reason to believe that Boeing won't be successful. I've seen the spacecraft up close. We've tested the parachute systems. We did a pad aboard test. We're working through the remainder of the issues with this particular service module and the valves, and so I don't really see any scenario where Boeing's not successful. The company is committed to these flights with NASA. It's important to Boeing. I can tell from the diligence of the team, the resources they've applied, and quite frankly, the attitude, professionalism, and the can-do spirit of the team to go solve the problem and move forward.
Okay, thanks.
Next is Micah Maidenberg with the Wall Street Journal.
Hi there. I just wanted to go back to the humidity. Maybe this is for Michelle. You know, did at any point did Boeing sort of account for humidity in this launch? Like, where would that come in if it did? And the second thing is, are there any dissenting views about what caused the moisture in the system, or is the thought that humidity caused it?
Yeah, because fault tree analysis is a matter of opinion, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, Mike, I can address that. So we do assess humidity within the requirement space. So the specifications do say that we need to be able to operate in humidity. The specifications that go out to our suppliers. We do also have purges on the vehicle to maintain the dry air and prevent moisture ingression. Again, it was a humid time of the year in August. We've looked at dew points. We've looked at temperature dew points while we were out there at the launch pad, and also our the purges. And like I said, we've physically seen some evidence of condensation within the service module. So all of that again supports that we had some of that perhaps going on. But and that'll be, we'll continue to look at that going forward as part of the remediation and ensuring that we don't have that. Again, the previous tests that we talked about, OFT1, pad abort, SM hot fire, we did not experience that in there was same valve, same propulsion system. As far as dissenting views of where the moisture is coming from, again, the team is working very, very closely, the Boeing NASA Aerojet team, so there is coalescence around this probable cause. We continue to work through each branch of the fault tree to make sure that before we officially close a branch, it's got buy-in from all of those, from the entire team, again, working very, very closely. There was some discussion early on, because this is the vehicle that we use for environmental qualification tests, so there was some discussion early on about whether the referee fluid that we use, the environmental qualification test consists of acoustic testing on the vehicle, thermal vacuum testing, and electromagnetic testing. And so as part of the acoustic testing, you need to simulate the commodities in the vehicle. And so we did have HFE in the oxidizer system, but that was chosen specifically because it doesn't, it's not a water-based commodity. And so there was discussion on that. We don't believe that that's contributing. The system was cleaned, purged after that. We have valves that were removed after EQT and replaced, and with the new valves that are on the vehicle also experienced this issue on the launch pad, so valves that never went through EQT. Then we have valves that were removed after EQT that we've put now through acceptance tests again, and seen nominal performance of those valves. And so, indications are, based on the selection of that referee fluid, that is not a contributor, but that's certainly a discussion we've had.
Next is Jeff Faust with Space News.
Thanks. A couple of quick questions. One for Michelle. How long does it take for this corrosion to be created on the valves when the oxidizer and moisture interact? Does it happen very quickly, or is this something that takes time to build up? And then for Steve, do you anticipate NASA requesting or requiring Boeing to perform any specific tests to verify that the fixes that they make to the valves are in fact successful and you're ready to proceed to flight?
Jeff, I'll take the first one. So with regard to the time of that reaction, so the reaction between the oxidizer and the moisture that creates nitric acid, that's pretty instantaneous as soon as you get those constituents together. That's pretty quick. So then you have the nitric acid, sitting there near the stainless steel or aluminum, and then that's a corrosion, product or a corrosion process. And that is, we've determined could occur in the time frame that we had the oxidizer in the system in those, 46 days, as John mentioned.
Yeah, in terms of NASA requiring tests, one of the tests that we've already identified that I think is going to be very beneficial is, and I talked about this, is sending some valves out to white sands, and what will happen is we'll try to recreate the exact scenario that a valve went through. In other words, expose it to the environment in the C3PF and allow oxidizer to permeate across that Teflon seal, and oxidizer tends to want to suck water in, and that's what's causing this nitric acid that Michelle talked about. So we'll be able to replicate that whole time frame, and then we can sort of see how fast the corrosion grows. And the way we can do that is not by necessarily taking the valve apart, but then we can measure the current required to open and close that valve over time and see how it's degrading and see that performance. And so we'll take a number of these valves out to white sands and do that testing, and I think that is a key set of tests that we have planned to get to flight, in addition to all the other materials testing that is ongoing right now. And we're a part of the team. We
thought they were talking about the service module
relative
test.
to closing out fault tree blocks, and then we sit in on developing the test together. So right now, the test plan that Boeing and NASA have laid out is the one that we're going to use for flight. So.
Next is Robert Cottinger with Spaceflight Mag.
Guys, the reason why I have Kerbal paused right now is because
Oh, hello. My question is
I think I figured out what was wrong with the pad, but it's going to take a second to explain. So
is Boeing looking at just not making any profit on Star Alliance, or was the latest charges going to wipe out any profit you could make?
So I won't speak directly to the profit part of it. I will speak to, like I said, there's no additional charges that will be going to the government for this. This is something the Boeing company will make sure that we've got covered as we get this vehicle prepared. I will say that we are 100% committed to fulfilling our contract with the government, and we intend to do that. And so going forward, our focus will be on getting OFT-2 to flight the first half of this year, and then getting CFT to flight as soon as possible after that.
Next is Ken Kramer with Space Up Close.
Hi, thank you for doing this. I want to get back to the moisture question. I'd like to know in more detail, what are you doing to actually replicate the moisture conditions and find the source of the condensation? Because it is always humid in Florida, and your pad abort test, I don't know that you had, and your hot fire, I don't know that you had hot, humid conditions when you did those tests. So I want to hear a lot more about the intentionally inducing moisture and drenching these valves maybe with water to find where it's coming in. Thank you.
Okay, I could start on that one. So Pat, just to close on that one, so pad abort did take place in New Mexico, right? So not significantly humid conditions. OFT-1 was here in Florida, as well as OFT-2. So we have looked at the difference in humidity conditions between those two those two times of the year. Certainly, we do see more humidity in August. Probably not that's probably not surprising for Florida, August in Florida. And again, we do have purges and such. There is on the side of the valve that we talked about, the valve positioning indicator, where as we disassembled here at the factory, where we saw the aluminum nitrate products, there is one small vent hole that could allow moisture or environmental conditions, environmental air to get into that area. So that's where we believe the path has come from. And again, going forward, we have since put desiccant in that area to prevent the moisture ingression and to make sure that that side of the valve stays dry. And so, that's what we're looking at going forward. And we'll, look at the purges. We'll add the heaters, and we'll look at the length of time that we've got the oxidizer in the system to prevent those constituents from getting together and forming the nitric acid and corrosion.
But what about re-engineering that vent hole? Desiccant only, that doesn't prevent the water from getting in.
The desiccant is providing a dry environment in that area. So we've seen,
What the
again,
hell?
that's as part of our troubleshooting that we've been able to do on the factory and prove out. So it certainly prevents the moisture from getting drawn into that area. That's what we've seen. We are looking at options for that, for the vent hole.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I would just add in that we don't anticipate that this was because the valve was, submerged in water or subjected to liquid water. This is more of, picking up moisture from the ambient environment. And like Steve said, the NTO acts almost like a sponge to absorb that moisture, so the moisture is attracted to the NTO.
You don't need to tell me, Elijah. Just head out.
Causing
It's
it
all
to
good.
form the nitric acid. Now,
I appreciate
also,
it, but
Steve
you don't need
mentioned
to
that we
tell me.
are going to run some tests at White Sands, and we are going to try to replicate the conditions that these valves went through. So we will be taking them through a high moisture or a high moisture environment and seeing what the effects are on those valves in test on the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Irene Klotz with Aviation Week.
So, for Steve, regardless of the availability of an Atlas and regardless of station ops, what is the minimum amount of time that you're showing on schedules between OFT2 and crew flight test?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have necessarily a minimum time identified. And one of the things that John has not talked about, and we are on a full court press to get through this OMAC and RCS isolation valve issue, but we continue to make a lot of progress on the CFT vehicle. And so really, crew flight tests would be gated by, when we think we've got the root cause identified on OFT2, a successful OFT2 flight and good data from that flight, and then we'll have to lay out a time frame of when then that CFT flight would fit with the station schedule. For right now, our crew rotation missions, you've seen them. They are in the spring and the fall, and we have a time frame where we'll have both ports sort of tied up. But then other than that, we'll just have to find that right time for CFT. And maybe John can talk a little bit more about if he sees some number of months or timeline between the two flights. I don't necessarily see that. If we can get and we have a certain amount of certification work that we need to get done for crewed flight tests. We have a number of VCNs and hazard reports and tests that have to be done on the vehicle. As long as those are met successfully, and a successful OFT2 flight, then we would get into CFTs.
Hey, Irene, this is John. So we're looking at the OFT2 flight first half of 2022, and we would look at CFT, maybe by the end of the year. We'll have to, like I said, our first focus will be on making sure we get OFT2 launched successfully, and then after that we'll look at the CFT schedule. So we like to see 6 months between flights. Something on that order. There is some turnaround time, there's some refurb time, but as Steve said, we are aggressively working the CFT vehicle in parallel with the efforts that the investigation team, the remediation team, and the test team is working on the OFT2 vehicle.
Thanks. And Steve, when do you expect to add a third crew member back to the crew flight test?
Yeah, we haven't talked much about that. It's probably too early to speculate. We'll have to sit down with the astronaut office and go through that discussion, and we just haven't had time to do that, Irene. So.
All right, we'll go over to Lauren Grush with The Verge.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. I'm curious if you know what might have happened if you hadn't caught the valve issue before launch and had taken off anyway, and do you have confidence that the abort capability would have been able to counteract whatever negative side effects might occur? Thank you.
Hey, Lauren, I'll take this one. It's John Vollmer. So, I mean, that's exactly why our procedures prior to launch were to go through, and we very methodically go through and check out all the systems. This was one of those things that had to absolutely work, or else we would not fly. So this is not an issue of if we had launched and not known this, we absolutely knew that these valves would be in the right position before launch.
All right, now we'll circle back to Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Yeah, hi guys. Just two real quick ones from me. Are any of these valves on this service module being replaced, or are you cleaning the valves and leaving them in place, or using the same valves, I guess I should say? And in all cases, did the valve itself fail to move, or was it the position indicator, or both? I was confused about that. Thanks.
I mean, they answered that already, Bill, but...
So we are, as we mentioned today, we're removing 3 of the valves. Those will be replaced with new valves. So those 3 will be replaced. And then as far as the valve not moving versus the valve positioning indicator, the valve is not moving. We have verified that the valve positioning indicator is working. That was a branch on our fault tree. Could it just be a bad telemetry indicator? But that has since been ruled out. So we do believe that it's for in seeing in a number of ways, we do know that it's the valve that is not moving.
Okay, but the valves that are staying on the vehicle, do you clean those, or how do you get them in shape where they're ready to operate normally?
So those will all be subject to the remediation efforts that we've talked about, including desiccant, potential heater addition. Right now, it's not a baseline plan to clean those valves or flush those valves. That has been done on programs in the past. So there are some discussions, but right this moment, the remediation includes the limiting of any humid air, moisture ingression, as well as adding heaters to break up any of the products that might be created for service modules.
I understand. I'm sorry. Can I just squeeze this last one in? You mentioned corrosion products in the valve, though. I'm curious as to, is that a physical interference that's keeping the valve from running? I'm just wondering why you don't have to clean it. And I promise that's my last question.
So at this moment, we have all but one of the valves have been shown to operate. And the one that I mentioned we're preserving for the root cause verification. So we haven't really tried all the tricks to get that one to move. So we've been able to operate them through this combination of desiccant and heaters. So at this point right now, we believe, and we're in discussions again, this would have to, we still have to finalize all of this as we proceed to through flight rationale and such. But we believe that will be our remediation path.
Thanks.
And that'll exhaust our time for today. Thanks to everyone for their questions, and of course to our participants today for answering the questions. You can follow up and check out the latest status always on our blog, and of course at nasa.gov/commercial crew. Thanks everyone for joining today.
And this concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may disconnect at this time.
I don't even know where the tab is for the thing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, Prey, that pissed me off. This gotcha bull crap that I really don't like that, dude. You don't just piss off. You don't know better. It's really, really annoying. I hated how they do that. They only do that with Boeing. It's really, 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 really annoying. What the hell? Like, what the hell, man? Like, yeah, Shatter. But they don't do that with SpaceX. SpaceX gets softball questions. It's really, it really is, it's disgusting. It's really gross, to be honest with you. So, listen, fellas. Long story short, at the end of the day, you want to know what all that meant? They're not finished figuring out what happened with those valves. Okay? Boeing is incorporating a parallel fault tree analysis testing. So, long story short, they don't know. They don't know what caused it just yet. Because this is proving to be a very challenging problem.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Whiskey, 49-month resub. Now, yeah, long story short, they haven't figured it out yet, but they're closing in on the fault tree. So, this isn't tech support for a capsule or for any type of spacecraft doesn't work like, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, the process is the same, but, you know, I mean, they probably did start with turning it off and turning it back on. That's how they figured out that the valves were bad in the first place. This is a tough one. This is a tough problem. It's a tough problem to solve. Guys, this is not... I shouldn't say, I shouldn't weigh in on it because I don't know for sure, but this seems like at some point down the line, they were dealing with some type of atmospheric condition that caused this to happen, which is strange because it's a sealed off system. So at some point, I mean, guys, that could be 1,000 different things. Why is condensation manifesting itself inside of a system, right? It ate away at the Teflon and rusted the seal out. Why? And it made nitric acid, which ate the Teflon, which rusted the seal, right? Dude, that could be 1,000 different things. It could, it's, I mean, I could do a pretty good breakdown here if you guys want, but, hey, Jack, what's going on? This lunch when it's not humid, boom, where do I get my check? I'm fairly confident. Okay, all right, not fairly confident. I'm not going to sound like a scientist or an engineer here. I'm pretty sure the capsule getting hit with a tropical storm probably didn't help it. Something is weird with that capsule. Or not the capsule, the service module. Something strange happened there. Yo, nice dash. Thank you. Thank you. Did someone leave the workshop door open? Yeah, I mean, geez, and it could be something is similar, something like that. It could be. I mean, if the air conditioning stopped working in the C3PF for a second, it could cause this problem. From what I've read, Teflon is actually expected to leak nitrogen tetroxide a bit, but it should have happened within the sealed system, purged with nitrogen and sealed. Yeah, I heard about it, Sawyer. Valves are really hard, and without knowing specifically what type of valves are and how they're actuated, we're not really saying anything. Could it be easier to say that just Boeing sucks? Yeah, right. You know, what are you doing to stop the water leak? We sealed it with this. Oh, but that doesn't seal it. Yes, it does, because we used it and it's sealed. Oh, well, thank you. Savvy, this is a complicated thing. It's a complicated thing. At some point, the capsule got exposed to, from what I can kind of surmise here. At some point, that service module got exposed to conditions that were not tested prior. Like I said, I think they ran into two they ran into two storms, one during transport to the VIF and one when the thing was out on the pad. My gut is telling me that that's what's going on. The capsule, they do a lot of testing. I don't think they ever tested the capsule to get hit with a tropical storm. It did get hit with a tropical storm. We know that that's what happened. Boeing makes spacecraft. Yes. Maybe a stupid question. They knew that using Teflon will lead to problems and leakages. Why didn't they use another material? What Kamir said. Yeah, Buck, that seems to be what's going on. So you're saying that this is a spacecraft and not a submersible? Yeah. All the testing in the world can't prepare for a freaking flash tropical storm to show up. You know, like. No, it's all right, Swish. You're asking the right questions. Here, guys. All right, so. While I was integrating, I noticed some things here. I'm going to shut that off there. We can talk more about fault tree analysis and how it works later. Well, if it wasn't tested before, you didn't start, probably tested for now. So I found some problems with the pad. I'm gonna finish this train of thought, and then we can get back to Starliner fault tree. There are more spacecraft in the ocean than submersibles in space. Dang old pod needs to stay in its lane. All right, so fellas, I noticed something going very weird with this. Look at the hinges and look at the hydraulics right here. Something is wrong with this. And I'm willing to bet that this is why we had some stuff bend out of shape on the pad and why we couldn't lock it out. See that right there? Something is going wrong here. And I know I changed these right here, 1, 2, and 3. I changed these a little while back because they were freaking out after launches. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. Long story short, we got to do some fault tree analysis on our own pad here. Did I leave the hinges out in the rain? Maybe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move the SSTO away from this. I'm going to move it sufficiently away from this. And we'll just leave that right there for now, and I'll shut the jet engines off. So something is weird. I don't think anything is particularly wrong with the SSTO, nor do I think the Kraken strike that we had here on this thing was enough to cause the thing to bend out of shape. These hinges are all messed up. Everything is bent. Everything's completely bent out of shape. I'm getting some stretching right here. See, look at this. This isn't good. Something is wrong here. And look where the launch box is. All right? Look where the launch box is relative to its cow controller. Its cow controller is maxed out. I knew in previous designs that maxing this cow controller out would have the launch box in a completely horizontal position. It's not in a horizontal position. There's a significant margin of error there. So we have to go back and we have to figure out what the heck's going on with this thing. I did recover the old pad, Buck. This is a brand new pad. See what I mean? Something is wrong with this. Something's wrong with the launch pad. Shouldn't be too hard to figure it out. This screams hierarchy, bent struts and whatnot. And something is wrong with the configuration of these hinges. See how they still have target angle and stuff? See, look at that. What the heck is up here? Yeah. Okay. Something's a little shady with that. We got to figure that out. Too much stress. This thing hasn't integrated anything, Ivo. It's hierarchy. A hierarchy. Kerbal's getting confused somewhere because this hinge is not. That isn't even in the position that it should have been in when the pad is integrated or when the pad is first put out. So yeah, let's recover that, and then we'll mess with it on the other side of Space News. Yeah, something's going wrong with the pad. The pad. I'm willing to guess that those bent hydraulics are the reason why we're running into some off-nominal things. That's like one of the last things we have to fix before this thing should be good to go. Yeah, that's all pointing to hierarchy. They're not placed. Something is backwards in the hierarchy, or Kerbal is screwing up somewhere, or the craft file might be corrupted. So I'm just going to leave the SSDO out on the pad, and I'm going to take a break, grab some food, and we'll be back in 15. Now, we can do a thorough breakdown on Starliner if you want. I think okay, so here's the thing, all right? And I want to make this, I'll say this again on the other side of Space News, or on the other side of the break. Look, Boeing is doing a fault tree analysis because they don't understand why this problem happened. It could be 1,000 different things. It could have been that it got hit by a tropical storm. It could have been that somebody turned the air conditioning too low in the C3PF. It could have been because they were storing the capsule. It could have been a bad batch of valves coming from the manufacturer. It could have been, it could have been 1,000 different things, and it seems like they're ticking off problems, but at the end of the day, they don't know. So, at the end of the day, it's important to listen, and it's important to understand, and they'll have their fault tree analysis figured out soon, right? But, it's important to not guess. There's no guessing in aerospace engineering. That's not how that works. But we can theorize. I don't mind theorizing as long as you explain that, look, you shouldn't guess. You have to go by the book. You have to go by fault tree analysis, and sometimes that takes time. With that also being said, I'll say what I said before the press conference. Capsules have teething problems. Capsules have teething problems. Every single spacecraft does. Look, the software stuff with OFT-1, that sucks, but the valves worked perfectly on that flight. We know because they were shooting RCS all in all different directions. And then the service module that was on the in-flight abort, that also worked correctly. That had the same valves in it. What changed? What was the difference? Well, getting hit by a tropical storm and storing the capsule for a long period of time maybe had something to do with it. Were there any hurricanes that came through? That's not really hurricane season. Were the tropical storms? Did the C3PF ever lose power? There's a ton of things that you have to take into account. I mean, if the C3PF is climate controlled, which it obviously is, that's a no humidity environment. That's drier than a desert in there. That's what an air conditioner does. It removes the water vapor it removes humidity. It doesn't just cool the air. It removes the humidity. It's a dehumidifier. So, I mean, that's why your air conditioner drips out all that water. That's where it goes. So there's a lot of things to take into account here. But we'll talk about that more on the other side of the break. So we'll get ready for space news here. So EJ space and rocket review. Then KSP and also possible SN20 static fire tonight. All right.